Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Starship for All. Activate the Spear of Adon at the beginning. Chapter 21. Great. The forest fleet has been severely damaged by us. Keep attacking, don't stop. Pursue victory and don't give the opponent the slightest chance to breathe. At this moment, the Huonu tribe commander's face was also red, and his excitement could no longer be concealed. Unexpectedly, Chu Yang's Spear of Adon could single-handedly reverse the situation on the entire battlefield. He originally thought that their Huonu fleet would not be able to fight against the Forest Spirit fleet no matter what. However, when Chu Yang's Spear of Adon appeared, the entire battlefield situation changed. Now, many Huonu warriors are also frantically targeting the opposite starship. Continuous artillery lights up one after another in space. At the same time, the number of forest fleets on the opposite side is also constantly decreasing. If this continues, victory will definitely belong to their Huonu tribe. Thinking of this, the Huonu commander fell into excitement again. But at this moment, a Huonu crew member discovered something was wrong. Report: the forest fleet on the opposite side seems to be adjusting its formation. Adjust the formation. Could it be that these forest fleets found that they could not gain the upper hand in the battle and planned to escape at this time? This is not possible. If these forest ships are allowed to return to their home planet, what the Huonu tribe will have to face next is the wrath of the entire forest spirit tribe. They must not be allowed to escape. Surround them around me. We must not let these forests leave the Vulcan galaxy quickly. With an order, many Huonu ships also swarmed in, trying to surround the forest starships. Chu Zhang, who was on the surface of the Craftsman star, narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw the movement of the forest starship opposite. Something's wrong. The forest spirit tribe pursued him all the way here just for the crystal fragment in his hand. Now that the crystal fragments have not been obtained, he does not believe that these forest spirits can retreat so easily. In fact, Chu Yang's guess was indeed correct. Many forest starships adjusted their positions and aimed their guns at the Spear of Adon. Rumble. As a series of fires lit up, all the remaining forest starships fired splitting missiles at the Spear of Adon. I saw these split missiles split into two during flight, and then split again. The originally sparse barrage turned into a dense rainstorm in the blink of an eye. The next second, countless splitting missiles fell on the Spear of Adon. These splitting missiles were so fast that even the Huonu starships did not have time to react. Almost instantly, these missiles with the ability to split fell on the energy shield of the Spear of Adon. After this round of bombing, whoever it is, who can withstand it? The Huonu commander suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. It turned out that the adjustment of these forest spirit starships was not to escape. Their target is actually the Spear of Adon. It's over now. Chu Yang's starship must have been turned into a pile of scrap metal by so many starships. Without the fire support of the Spear of Adon, wouldn't their next battle be in a stalemate again? Commander Blackwood looked at the Spear of Adon swallowed up by the flames, and also gave a mocking smile. It's ridiculous. These Huonu tribe pigs, do you think I will escape? Without the fire support of that starship, these Huonu starships are just lambs waiting to be slaughtered. But the next second, the laughter stopped abruptly. Commander Kuroki's eyes widened and he couldn't believe his eyes. The flames dissipated, but the figure of the Spear of Adon still stood there intact. Even a concentrated fire attack of splitting missiles failed to break through its energy shield. How can it be? The splitting missile is one of their forest spirit tribe's trump cards. Not only are these fragmentation missiles highly accurate, they are also extremely fast. It can even split into several missiles during the splitting process, making it impossible for enemy interceptors to attack. But in the case of all hits, the Spear of Adon was not only fine, but even the energy shield did not receive any damage. What kind of monster is this ship? Everyone is here. Start the second round of shooting immediately. Since one round of splitting missile bombardment couldn't solve this starship, then they will use a second round of bombing. He didn't believe that the energy shield of this starship could withstand the attack of their splitting missiles indefinitely. The Huonu commander also realized that the target on the opposite side was Chu Yang's Spear of Adon. Prepare immediately to intercept the enemy's attack. Now, the powerful firepower of the Spear of Adon is their only capital against the forest spirits. If the Spear of Adon is destroyed by the enemy's split missile, then they will lose the chance to fight against the forest spirit. Suddenly, a large number of splitting missiles flew out from the cannons of the forest starship. Seeing this, many Huonu starships immediately started interception mode. A large number of separatist missiles were destroyed in the air by the Huonu starships. But even so, in the face of a large number of extremely fast fragmentation missiles, their interception seems to be a drop in the bucket. Not good. Their missiles will still split. There are too many divisions, and we can't stop them at all. Their speed is too fast, and our interception system cannot accurately lock on them. It's over. 2 consecutive rounds of bombing. Even if the Star Destroyer comes, it won't be able to withstand it. Boom. Just when the Huonu commander was feeling disheartened, a dazzling fire also caught his attention. For a moment, a large number of Phoenix fighter planes were like bees, galloping out of the Spear of Adon. The fast and agile Phoenix fighter plane shuttled between numerous artillery fires and intercepted one split missile after another. Fires were everywhere, and every time a fire lit up, it meant that a split missile had been successfully intercepted. Commander Kuroki turned pale as he watched a large number of splitting missiles being intercepted by Phoenix fighter jets. Where did these fighter planes come from again? This time, even their most proud trump card was easily cracked by the Phoenix fighter. Now, the forest fleet has reached the end of its rope. A forest crew member also said cautiously, "Commander, why don't we retreat?" Today's forest fleet, not only has the number of ships greatly reduced, but even the ammunition has been almost exhausted. If the fight continues like this, they are the only ones who will suffer. At this moment, Commander Blackwood looked gloomy. Although he didn't want to admit it, everything the crew member said was true. They can't continue to consume any more. Then follow my orders and go down. All ships, prepare to retreat. Chu Zhong also saw the embarrassment of the forest fleet on the opposite side, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Since they dare to pursue here, they must be prepared for the entire army to be annihilated. The purification beam is ready. Purifying beam. Among all the weapons of the Spear of Adon, it is definitely a destructive weapon. If you use a purification beam to bomb a planet, the power of the purification beam is enough to evaporate everything on the surface of the planet in an instant. Now, Chu Zhong is on the surface of Craftsman Star. Through the remote control system, the annihilation cluster of the Spear of Adon was also activated, preparing to release the purification beam. The purification beam is ready. The target has been successfully locked. Chu Zhong looked at the forest fleet that turned around and was about to leave, and directly pressed the launch button. Boom. For a moment, the Spear of Adon burst out with a burst of dazzling light spears. Along with an extremely violent energy, centered on the Spear of Adon, a powerful purification beam also attacked directly towards the forest fleet in front of them. Almost instantly, Commander Blackwood's flagship was engulfed by the purification beam. Commander Kuroki didn't even let out a scream, and instantly turned into a wisp of dust. The purifying beam sweeps continuously, leaving no grass growing wherever it passes. The moment any forest ship approaches the purification beam, it will be engulfed by the powerful energy of the purification beam. The Huonu commander couldn't help but take a breath of air. What kind of weapon is this? Such violent energy fluctuations made him feel a suffocating pressure even when he was watching from a distance. He couldn't even imagine what kind of horrific result it would be if this shot fell on him. When the light dissipated, the original forest fleet was already in pieces. The remaining ones are just some defeated soldiers. At this moment, Chu Yang's voice sounded in the communication channel again. "What are you still doing? Are you still waiting for me to take care of the remaining guys?" As soon as these words came out, the Huonu tribe commander also reacted immediately. The battle isn't over yet. Their goal this time is to annihilate the entire forest spirit fleet without leaving anyone behind. If you let go of a remnant and escape back to the forest spirit clan's home planet. If the forest spirit king finds out about this, he will definitely not let the Huo slaves off easily. Therefore, the Huonu commander quickly commanded his crew and began to encircle and suppress the remaining forest ships around them. After everything was done, Chu Zhong on the surface of Craftsman Star also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the firepower and defense of the Spear of Adon are strong enough. Otherwise, relying on the fleets of these Huonu clan, I may not be able to annihilate all these forest fleets. At this time, Yun Qinghan also appeared next to Chu Zhong. Just now when Chu Zhong was remotely controlling the spear of Adon, Yun Qinghan was always guarding Chu Zhong. Because of this, Chu Zhong was able to devote himself to controlling the spear of Adon. Finished. It has ended. Hearing this, Yun Qinghan also breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also looked at Chu Zhong in disbelief. She never expected that Chu Zhong had just stepped out of the solar system and defeated the fanatical pirate group and the forest fleet from the outside world. Neither of these two parties is a fuel-efficient lamp. Even if the Sun Federation's fleet faces the forest fleet, it must avoid the edge for the time being. But Chu Zhong not only confronted them head-on, but even strangled them all. For the first time, Yun Qinghan felt that Chu Zhong in front of him seemed a little strange. Perhaps, when he said he was going to the outer lands, he wasn't just talking out of thin air. After solving the forest fleet, the leader of the Huonu tribe also warmly received Chu Zhong. Chu Yang's performance in the battle made the leader of the Huonu tribe deeply in awe of him. Facing the powerful forest fleet, the performance of the Spear of Adon made all the Huonu warriors feel deep fear. The leader of the Huonu tribe also deeply realized that the young man in front of him could only make friends and not make enemies. Otherwise, once you offend him, there is no telling which day the fate of the forest fleet will be the fate of their Huonu tribe. Thinking of this, the leader of the Huonu tribe was also very enthusiastic about Chu Zhong. Thank you, Captain Chu, for your help. It is because of your presence that our Huonu tribe can survive this crisis. After that, the leader of the Huonu tribe also placed a star coin card in front of Chu Zhong. At the same time, there is a special black card underneath the star coin card. This is our most sincere gratitude to you from the Huonu tribe. In this star coin card, there is a reward of 10 million star coins. And the other card is the ticket to the Starlight Gathering. These are just a few thoughts from our Huonu tribe. Please don't take it personally, Captain Chu. Admission to the Starlight Gathering. When Chu Zhong heard this term, his eyes lit up. Yun Qinghan next to him was also a little surprised when he heard the name of Starlight Gathering. Starlight Gathering, a very famous business gathering. Every time the Starlight Gathering is held, it attracts a large number of chambers of commerce to gather. At the Starlight Gathering, some extremely rare treasures will appear almost every time. Rumor has it that a planet lord of the Sun Federation once bought a psychic seed at the Starlight Gathering and was transformed into a noble psyker. However, if you want to attend the Starlight Gathering, you must have an admission ticket. Without an admission ticket, you simply cannot enter the Starlight Gathering. Yun Qinghan whispered in Chu Yang's ear, you can't miss the ticket to the Starlight Gathering. This Starlight Gathering is in the bright stars of the Whirlpool Galaxy. On the black market, a ticket to the Starlight Gathering has already fetched a sky-high price. Seeing Yun Qinghan whispering in Chu Yang's ear, the leader of the Huonu tribe seemed to understand something. So, he pushed the star coin card and Starlight Gathering ticket to Chu Zhong and added, Captain Chu, please rest assured that Starlight Gathering ticket holders can bring a female companion to the venue. So you don't have to worry that your partner won't be able to enter the Starlight Assembly due to tickets. As soon as these words came out, Yun Qinghan stood up suddenly. You, don't talk nonsense, who is this guy's female companion? Ah, did I misunderstand? Upon hearing this, the leader of the Huonu tribe also smiled awkwardly. I'm so sorry, I only have this one ticket here. Yun Qinghan took a look at the tickets and felt very conflicted inside. You know, the Starlight Gathering brings together most of the chambers of commerce in the galaxy. You might be able to buy rare treasures that you can't usually buy at the Starlight Gathering. But because of this, tickets to the Starlight Gathering are extremely precious, and even her father can't buy them. After thinking for a moment, Yun Qinghan sat down again with a blushing face. This time she did not continue to say anything. Seeing this, Chu Zhong also put away the star coin card and Starlight Gathering tickets. Then I'll thank the leader. You're welcome. It's a great honor for me to communicate with a young hero like Captain Chu. After leaving the residence of the leader of the Huonu tribe, Chu Zhong also walked directly towards the starport. It will take 2 days before you successfully sign in. During this period, Chu Zhong could only spend this time on the Spear of Adon. Unexpectedly, Yun Qinghan suddenly grabbed Chu Yang's hand at this time. Chu Zhong turned to look at Yun Qinghan. What kind of plane is this woman planning? I saw Yun Qinghan coyly saying, "Inside, can you take me with you to the Starlight Gathering?" Speaking of this, Yun Qinghan also turned red. If you get a ticket, can't you bring a female companion into the venue? I'll just reluctantly be your female companion for once. You're getting an advantage. The Starlight Gathering is one of the most grand events in the entire galaxy. I don't know how many people have paid a huge price to be able to participate in the Starlight Gathering. But even so, they may not be able to enter the Starlight Assembly. Now, there was an opportunity to enter the Starlight Gathering before him, and Yun Qinghan really didn't want to miss it. Saying that, Yun Qinghan also forcibly cheered up. You should feel honored that I will be your female companion. After all, it will be honorable for you to take a beautiful female companion like me out, right? Before he finished speaking, Chu Zhong turned around and left. When Yun Qinghan saw this, his previous reserve suddenly collapsed. Wait, I was wrong. Please, just take me with you. Hearing these words, Chu Zhong also showed a proud smile. Unexpectedly, Yun Qinghan, who was once known as the iceberg goddess of Blue Star Academy, still has such a side now. And Chu Zhong also extended his hand without any politeness. One quota, 1 million star coins. What, 1 million star coins? When Yun Qinghan heard the price, he gritted his teeth. Unexpectedly, Chu Zhong actually sold this spot to himself. 1 million star coins, if it were my previous self, I would probably be able to take it out without hesitation. But now, she has officially embarked on the road to interstellar navigation. She had also sworn in her heart before that she would never rely on the strength of her family after embarking on the journey of interstellar navigation. This 1 million star coins can be said to be a knife cut into Yun Qinghan's artery. After thinking for a moment, Yun Qinghan also looked at Chu Zhong with gritted teeth. Okay, I'll blame you. After that, Yun Qinghan also transferred 1 million star coins to Chu Zhong. After Chu Zhong received the star coins, he also smiled lightly. Well, see you in 2 days, don't be late then. After saying that, Chu Zhong also waved his hand. Yun Qinghan looked at Chu Yang's back and reluctantly punched the air a few times, as if to vent his inner dissatisfaction. But she also knew very well that 1 million star coins was cheap enough to buy a place to enter the Starlight Gathering. As long as Chu Zhong spreads the news, a lot of rich women will be willing to spend a lot of star coins to be Chu Yang's female companion. Although it is only an incidental quota, it is still an opportunity to enter the Starlight Gathering. Returning to the Spear of Adon, Chu Zhong also opened the system template. Now, I just need to wait quietly for the system to sign in. Ding, the Craftsman Star sign-in is complete. Congratulations, you have received the reward, Stark Laboratory. Congratulations, you have received the reward, Arc Reactor Design Drawing. 3 days go by in a blink of an eye. Chu Yang's sign-in system also completes the sign-in for the Craftsman Star. But this time, what Chu Zhong didn't expect was that the system's reward was actually a laboratory. This made Chu Zhong a little curious as to what was so magical about this Stark Laboratory. System, where is this Stark Laboratory now? Answer, one of the rooms in the Spear of Adon has been transformed into Stark's laboratory. Having said that, Chu Yang's microcomputer also popped up a coordinate location. Following the coordinates, Chu Zhong also came to Stark Laboratory. As soon as I walked into the laboratory, a strange mechanical sound also sounded. Captain, welcome to Stark Laboratory. I am Friday, the artificial intelligence from Stark Labs. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Chu Zhong looked at the laboratory in front of him, and his eyes were immediately attracted by the data panels suspended in the laboratory. The big screen showed specific data about the fanatics. Seeing this, Chu Zhong also asked the laboratory artificial intelligence Friday. What does this data look like? Captain, don't worry. The main function of Stark Laboratory is to collect information about the enemies you face. Based on this enemy information, we will create specially targeted armor to counterattack. Of course, in addition, the many instruments in the laboratory can also help you in your research. Researching counter armor. When Chu Zhong heard about this function, his eyes lit up. When he opened the laboratory's database, he couldn't help but gasp. Sure enough, in the Stark Laboratory database, several armors have already been released. Anti-psionic armor. A counter-armor developed based on phonetic data, can effectively counteract the psychic attacks of psychers. Anti-Titan armor. A counter-armor developed based on Titan data, has a powerful ability to suppress Titan mechas. Anti-Phoenix armor. A counter-armor developed based on Phoenix fighter data, is faster, more flexible, and has extremely strong energy armor to avoid damage. Good guy. The artificial intelligence in Stark Laboratory has actually developed so many types of armor. Each of these armors are basically made according to the corresponding arms. Chu Jong also saw the powerful capabilities of Stark Laboratory. In the future, if he encounters an unknown enemy, he can use Stark Labs to quickly create counter-armor. Thinking of this, Chu Jong also felt happy. Apparently, my 3 days of waiting were not in vain. Just when Chu Jong was planning to continue exploring other functions of Stark Laboratory, a message popped up on his microcomputer. Chu Jong, where are you? I'm ready. When will we head to the Whirlpool Galaxy? I heard that the Starlight Gathering will be officially opened in 3 days. We can't be late. Seeing the news, Chu Jong also smiled. Unexpectedly, Yun Qinghan was so interested in this Starlight Gathering. As a result, Chu Jong temporarily gave up the idea of exploring Stark's laboratory. When I came to the cabin door, I found that Yun Qinghan had been waiting here for a long time. You guys are finally willing to come out. My engineers and spare parts are ready. When can we set off? Now that you are ready, let's set off. Now, the sign-in system has completed the sign-in. Chu Jong has no reason to stay on this planet anymore. As the Spear of Adon took off, the Huonu warriors patrolling the entire starport also set their sights on it. When the leader of the Huonu tribe heard that Chu Jong drove away from the craftsman star with the Spear of Adon, his hanging heart finally relaxed. After all, he had already seen the terrifying lethality of the Spear of Adon. Once Chu Jong launches an attack on their planet, he is really not sure that he can stop the opponent. Fortunately, Chu Jong is now on his way to the next galaxy. The leader of the Huonu clan, whose originally hanging heart gradually calmed down. The space jump is ready. Setting destination. Whirlpool Galaxy, bright stars. Whoosh. The Spear of Adon disappeared in the Vulcan Galaxy instantly. Not long after, the Spear of Adon also appeared in the Whirlpool Galaxy. Whirlpool Galaxy, bright stars. This is a prosperous planet known as the Pearl of the Galaxy. The Lord of the Shining Stars owns nearly half of the wealth in the galaxy. It is precisely because of such strong strength that the brilliant star has become the most prosperous star in the entire galaxy. Looking at the bright and dazzling planet in the distance like a crystal ball, Yun Qinghan couldn't help but sigh. It is indeed the bright star called the center of the Milky Way. Just looking at it from a distance, you can feel the prosperity on it. Chu Jong, who was responsible for driving the Spear of Adon next to him, also glanced at Yun Qinghan. This guy, since the last time he knew that his Spear of Adon could accommodate a battleship. She parked the Fire Phoenix class battleship directly into her cabin. Even if Chu Jong objects, she will ask Chu Jong to give her a ride on the grounds that she paid the ticket. Chu Jong had no choice but to let her come. This is the Brilliant Star Port, please register your ship information. As soon as he entered the airspace of Brilliant Star, the starport of Brilliant Star also sent a notice to him. The spaceships and starships coming and going around couldn't help but cast their gaze over when they saw the size of the Spear of Adon. What a huge starship! I have never seen such a huge starship. How come such a big starship doesn't even have a frigate? I really don't know what kind of race can build such a huge starship. Is this still a starship? It feels like a small satellite base. Chu Jong followed the procedure and registered his starship. The Bright Star Port also received Chu Yang's application for entry. For such a huge starship, it is basically difficult to enter the starport without special adjustments. But fortunately, here are the bright stars, the most prosperous planet in the galaxy. Under the guidance of the staff, Chu Jong quickly parked the Spear of Adon in the extraterrestrial port. Just after Chu Jong docked at the starport, Chu Jong suddenly discovered that the crystal fragments that had been unresponsive before were now glowing slightly. Not only that, the crystal fragments also began to slowly squirm in the box. It was as if there was some special magnetic field that was attracting the crystal fragments. Seeing this scene, Chu Jong also narrowed his eyes slightly. The interstellar pirate also said before that crystal fragments and crystal fragments are attracted to each other. Now the crystal fragment in his hand actually reacted. That means that there is another crystal fragment on this bright star. Unexpectedly, before I left the galaxy, I encountered a second crystal fragment. Thinking of this, Chu Zhang also remained somewhat vigilant about this action. Since he has been reacted by the crystal fragments, the holder on the opposite side must have also discovered his existence. When two crystal holders meet, there is basically only one outcome. When he came to the starport, Chu Zhang also brought a few fanatics and a few pilots to protect his own safety. Above this bright star, there is a mixture of fish and dragons, and the third-rate 9 sects from all directions in the Milky Way gather here. If you want to act here, you still need to be a little more vigilant. At this moment, Yun Qinghan was attracted by the prosperity of the bright stars in front of him. Because of the influence of the starlight gathering, the entire bright star fell into an atmosphere of celebration. Of course, those who can enter the starlight gathering to sell goods are all well-known business organizations in the galaxy. But in addition, there are still many small vendors who will use the influence of the starlight gathering to do some small business in the bright star. It can be said that the entire bright star street is now filled with stalls selling various products. Don't miss it when you're passing by. One bite of Alma Star's specialty fruits will definitely make you want to leave. Weapons made by master craftsmen of the Huonu tribe from the Star of Craftsmen are pure and innocent. If you miss them, it will be your lifelong regret. Miss, are you interested in taking a look at the strange plants from the land of flowers? Yun Qinghan was walking on the road when he was suddenly blocked by a sweet-looking Nox star. The appearance of Star Nox is like a small flower elf. What they are best at is cultivating various flowers. Therefore, the flowers and perfumes of the Noxians are the most famous in the entire galaxy. Normally, if you want to buy flowers and perfumes from Star Nox, you can only go to the Floral Galaxy. But it's different now. Because of the starlight gathering, the Nox stars are also here. As a girl, Yun Qinghan has no resistance to beautiful things. Chu Zhang glanced at her, sighed and followed her. Just when Yun Qinghan was indulging in shopping, several strange races wearing black robes appeared among the crowd. Upon seeing this, the surrounding Star Sea races also made way for him. Because they can all clearly see that under these black robes, a cold light is looming. At this moment, one of the men in black robes turned his head and looked at where Chu Zhang was. Archbishop, I sense the same kind of aura. One of the men in black robes turned around. If Chu Zhang was here, he would definitely be able to tell. The men in black robes in front of them are actually a group of star spirits wearing black robes. However, compared with ordinary star spirits, the spiritual aura exuded by them is particularly violent. And these star spirits usually have another name. Dark Star Spirit. Fred, the purpose of our trip is to find the relics left by the Terra Empire. The rest are not in our plan. As long as they don't hinder our plans, there's no need to worry about those ignorant fellows. Having said this, many dark stars also turned around and no longer looked in the direction of Chu Zhang. Obviously, the purpose of these dark stars coming here is also for the crystal fragments existing on this bright star. On the other side, Chu Zhang accompanied Yun Qinghan all the way to the location of the starlight gathering. Galaxy Brilliant Building. The location of this starlight gathering is held in this building known as the tallest building in the galaxy. Looking at the towering building in front of him, Yun Qinghan also let out an exclamation. So this is the tallest building in the galaxy. When I saw it today, it certainly lived up to its reputation. Looking around, I saw various Star Sea races appearing one after another. These Shanghai races also came to the door of the bright building with tickets in hand. After checking the authenticity of the tickets, the 2 security guards at the door also let these Star Sea races in. Chu Zhang looked at the 2 security guards in front of him and felt the spiritual aura on them. It was obvious that these 2 security guards were genuine psychers. In this world, psychics are superhuman existences compared to ordinary people. Even the lowest level of psychers can use psychic energy to strengthen their bodies, so that they can defeat 1 against 100. According to rumors, strong men from the outer world can even use spiritual energy to move the entire planet. Of course, for Chu Zhang, this kind of thing only exists in rumors. At this time, Yun Qinghan couldn't wait any longer. She took the initiative to hold Chu Yang's arm, and then moved towards Chu Zhong. Come on, get your tickets out. Seeing Yun Qinghan's expectant look, Chu Zhong couldn't laugh or cry either. Why are you in such a hurry? The Starlight Gathering will be held continuously in the bright stars for 1 month before ending. Yun Qinghan rolled her eyes at him and said unconvinced. Although it is said to last for a month, aren't you afraid that all the good things will be bought in advance? There is some truth to this. So, Chu Zhong also walked towards the door of the bright building. But at this moment, a familiar voice also sounded behind Chu Zhong. Cloud Goddess. Hearing this familiar voice, Chu Zhong and Yun Qinghan turned around at the same time. Unexpectedly, when I looked back, I saw that it was an old acquaintance. Huang Fei. When Huang Fei saw Yun Qinghan, he was also delighted. I didn't expect to meet Yun Qinghan here. However, when he saw Yun Qinghan hugging Chu Yang's arm very affectionately, the smile on his face suddenly froze. Huang Fei, why are you here? The moment he saw Huang Fei, Yun Qinghan also frowned slightly. She was a little curious, why did Huang Fei appear in the bright star? When Huang Fei heard these words, he immediately acted like a victorious general and said smugly. Goddess Yun, you don't know, I have joined the 7 Stars Chamber of Commerce. You know the 7-Star Chamber of Commerce, it is one of the richest chambers of commerce in the entire galaxy. Now, I am also a member of the 7 Stars Chamber of Commerce. Our 7 Stars Chamber of Commerce was also invited to this Starlight Gathering, so I can also participate in this Starlight Gathering. After saying that, Huang Fei also looked at Yun Qinghan with a proud look on his face. Goddess Yun, don't you want to go into the bright building and see what the Starlight Gathering is like? As an employee of the 7 Stars Chamber of Commerce, I can use my authority to take you in for a look. After all, the tickets on the market are now sold at sky-high prices, and ordinary people still have no way to get in. Having said this, Huang Fei also glanced at Chu Zhong with some provocation. Obviously, he was telling Chu Zhong these words. After hearing these words, Chu Zhong also smiled and said nothing. At this time, Yun Qinghan also took the initiative and said, you don't need to take us in, we have tickets. Tickets. Chu Zhong took out a ticket and handed it to the security guard at the door. The security guard at the door also checked and found that there was nothing wrong with the ticket. Hello, your ticket is a VIP ticket issued by us. According to the VIP treatment, you can bring a partner into the Starlight Gathering. Before Chu Zhong could speak, Yun Qinghan also directly admitted it. I am his mate. At this time, Yun Qinghan didn't want to be thrown out directly by these security guards. Seeing Yun Qinghan's initiative, Chu Zhong also smiled and nodded. Seeing Chu Zhong also nodded, the 2 security guards also opened the door and let Chu Zhong and Yun Qinghan walk in. At this time, Huang Fei's eyes widened. He just said that tickets to the Starlight Gathering were hard to get. Unexpectedly, the next second, Chu Zhong took out a ticket, which was a VIP ticket. Not only that, Yun Qinghan, who was originally known as the Cold Goddess of Blue Star Academy. Now he has become Chu Yang's partner. At this moment, Huang Fei also felt hopeless. No, I must ask clearly. That guy Chu Zhong just awakened an S-class ship soul. Why can Goddess Yun like him? But just when Huang Fei came to the door, 2 security guards stopped him. Excuse me, please show me your ticket to the Starlight Gathering. Upon hearing this, Huang Fei was furious and directly took out the logo of his 7-Star Chamber of Commerce members. Did you see that I am a member of the 7 Stars Chamber of Commerce? Get out of my way and let me in quickly. Facing Huang Fei's words, the 2 security guards sneered and then pointed aside. Sorry, according to the rules of the Starlight Assembly, all members of the Chamber of Commerce who are invited to the Starlight Gathering can only enter through the staff passage. This is the main entrance, only invitees with tickets can enter. As soon as these words came out, Huang Fei was stunned on the spot. Can't you go in through the main entrance? At this moment, several Dark Star spirits wearing black robes also came over. The leader of the Dark Star Archbishop also took out a ticket. The 2 security guards glanced at the tickets and then quickly opened the door. When the Archbishop of the Dark Star Spirits entered the Starlight Assembly, the 2 security guards also felt a chill in their hearts. What a powerful psychic aura! Who are these people? Walking into the interior of the brilliant building, Chujong truly saw the charm of the Starlight Gathering. Things that are almost impossible to buy on weekdays can be found everywhere here. A large number of chambers of commerce and organizations gather here, and almost all the rare treasures in the galaxy can be seen here. Wow, Chujong, look, there are actually biometals for sale here. Biometal. After Chujong heard the name, he was also attracted to it. You know, biometal is one of the materials needed for the growth of the ship soul. A starship with a ship soul can continue to grow. No matter how low the initial level of the ship soul is, as long as you are willing to spend a lot of money to buy growth materials. Then this starship with a ship soul will grow to a level or even higher sooner or later. And if a ship soul wants to grow, the materials it needs are extremely rare. Among them, this biometal is one of them. Biometal is rumored to only appear on some planets with specific biomes. Moreover, the output of a planet is only about 1 ton. Because of this, biometals are also extremely rare. In the market, 1 gram of biometal can be sold for 10,000 star coins. And if a starship wants to be upgraded, the biometal required is not a small amount. Chujong walked over and saw biometals of various colors on a stall. I saw that all these biometals were imprisoned in containers made of tempered glass. The biometal displayed on the stall alone weighs about 1 kilogram. Not to mention, the Chamber of Commerce at this stall doesn't know how much inventory it has. Dear guest, what would you like to order? Seeing Chujong coming over, the Chamber of Commerce members at the booth were also very enthusiastic. Because he knew very well that the people who could hang out at the Starlight Gathering were basically invited guests. And if these VIPs can get tickets to the Starlight Gathering, their status must be either rich or noble. Therefore, these Chamber of Commerce members are also cautious, for fear of offending these dignitaries. How much inventory do you have? Before Chujong could speak, Yun Qinghan was already planning to buy some biometals. After all, her Fire Phoenix class battleship requires a lot of evolutionary materials to upgrade. As long as there are enough materials, maybe one day it can be transformed into an S-class battleship. The member of the Chamber of Commerce opposite also rubbed his hands and said very confidently, "Sir, how much biometal do you need?" Currently, our Chamber of Commerce has only prepared about 10 tons of biometals. If you need more biometals, we can only get them from the Chamber of Commerce headquarters. 10 tons of inventory. Yun Qinghan didn't expect that this Chamber of Commerce would have such sufficient inventory. However, Yun Qinghan thought about his wallet and finally chose to buy some biometal first. At this time, Chu Yang's attention was not on the stall in front of him. He found that after entering the brilliant building, the reaction of the crystal fragments became more and more intense. So, Chujong followed the guidance of the crystal shards and came to a stall. And this stall is completely different from the gorgeous Chamber of Commerce stall next to it. The person running this stall is just a middle-aged man, and the products in front of him are even more miscellaneous. Compared with other professional Chamber of Commerce booths, his booth couldn't be more simple. What would you like, sir? After seeing Chujong, the middle-aged man also had a smile on his face. Seeing this, Chujong also glanced at his stall. Finally, he felt that the crystal fragment was in one of the small, inconspicuous boxes. However, Chujong was not in a hurry to get the crystal fragment directly. On the contrary, he pretended to be a normal customer and glanced at the things on the middle-aged man's stall. "Boss, how do you sell this clay pot?" 1 million star coins. Chujong, I just picked up a clay pot at random. This clay pot didn't even look any different from an ordinary clay pot. Who knew that this middle-aged man would actually ask for 1 million star coins? Then how can I sell this jade? It's also 1 million star coins. At this time, Chujong felt that this middle-aged man was either playing tricks on him, or he was a profiteer. But for the crystal shards, Chujong was patient and picked out a few things that didn't look like garbage. Finally, he collected the box containing the crystal fragments and the garbage into his arms. Add these things together, and I'll give you 1 million star coins. Make a deal. So refreshing. Chujong didn't expect that this middle-aged man would be so cheerful. However, Chujong didn't think much, just paid and took the things away. After getting the thing, Chu Zhong also confirmed again and again that the crystal fragments were indeed inside. Very good. Being able to get the second crystal fragment for 1 million star coins is considered worthy of it. After Chu Zhong took away the crystal fragments, the dark stars came to the middle-aged man's stall. The middle-aged man just glanced at the dark star spirit in front of him, and then said calmly, "The things you want have been bought. Now, I'm closing." After that, the middle-aged man also directly put away the stall in front of him. The Dark Star Archbishop looked at Chu Yang's leaving figure and took out a glass container from his arms. In this glass container, a crystal fragment emits violent energy fluctuations. These dark Protoss also have a crystal fragment on their bodies. Because of this, they can quickly and accurately track the signal of the crystal fragment. One of the dark stars saw this and immediately said, "Archbishop, according to the energy fluctuations of the crystal fragments, that human boy definitely has more than one crystal fragment on his body. Do you want me to take action and snatch all the crystal fragments from that human being?" Hearing these words, the Dark Star Archbishop also shook his head. "Fred, you need to change your impatience. We must get the crystal shard back from that human, but not now. If we take action in the Brilliant Star, the Lord of the Brilliant Star will definitely not let us leave easily. Let the crystal fragment stay in the hands of this human being for a few days. When he leaves the Bright Star, it is time for us to take action." After Chu Zhong obtained the second crystal fragment, he also put the two crystal fragments together. Later, he discovered that after the two crystal fragments touched, they actually merged into a larger crystal fragment. The two fragments actually fused. I really don't know what material this crystal fragment is made of. But then, Chu Zhong discovered something was wrong. The reaction of the crystal fragments has not stopped. In other words, in this starlight gathering, is there a third crystal fragment? The third crystal shard. Unexpectedly, I would encounter a third crystal fragment here. Chu Zhong touched his chin, also interested. According to the display of the crystal fragments, the third crystal fragment has been moving. In other words, someone is carrying the third crystal fragment. It seems that they are also here to look for crystal fragments. However, before them, I have found the second crystal fragment. Next, they will definitely not let go of the two crystal fragments in my hand. Putting crystal shards on yourself does have some benefits. In this way, even if a crystal holder appears, he can still detect the other person's presence. But similarly, the other party can also be aware of his existence. However, Chu Zhong is not worried. After all, he can use the support function of the Spear of Adon to instantly teleport the Protoss fanatics to him. By then, it's still unclear who will be the prey. "Chu Zhong, where have you gone? It took me a long time to find you." At this time, Yun Qinghan finally discovered that Chu Zhong was missing. After searching for a long time, Yun Qinghan finally found Chu Zhong. And Chu Zhong also smiled. "What? Have you finished shopping?" After hearing this, Yun Qinghan also said helplessly, "Although the things here are good, they are just too expensive. When I first bought biometal, I almost used up my budget." Sure enough, the Starlight Gathering is still the home venue for those rich people. Yun Qinghan looked at his wallet and felt like crying. If I had known earlier, I would have prepared more star coins before the interstellar voyage. Chu Zhong touched her head. "If we buy enough things, let's go back first. The products at Starlight Gathering will be different every day, and maybe there will be better ones tomorrow." When Yun Qinghan heard these words, he secretly thought in his heart, "After I go back today, I have to contact my family. Let her family provide some money for herself." Although she had clearly requested it at the beginning, she would never rely on her family after the interstellar voyage. But now, faced with an opportunity like the Starlight Gathering, she must seize the opportunity. The two walked out of the brilliant building, and the sky was gradually getting dark. Isn't it already so late before you know it? It's normal for the bright stars to have shorter days and nights. Chu Zhong glanced behind him, and sure enough he found several figures following him in the crowd. Seeing this, Chu Zhong also waved his hand. The pilots hiding in the crowd suddenly understood. From the beginning, Chu Zhong hid the pilot among the crowd around him. On the surface, Chu Zhong and Yun Qinghan did not have any guards around them. In fact, a large number of pilots have long been hidden among the crowd. Whenever he encounters danger, these pilots can appear immediately to protect his safety. Not only that, in order to prevent the situation like Artisan Star from happening again, Chu Jong also carries a fragment of the crystal tower with him. Don't underestimate this small fragment. In case of emergency, using this fragment can allow Chu Jong to teleport back to the Spear of Adon instantly. At the same time, a group of fanatics can also be teleported to escort you. This is also the most powerful point of the Spear of Adon. The support capability is unmatched by any starship. The several dark stars behind him also looked at Chu Yang's back and followed him closely. At this moment, one of the dark stars couldn't help but speak. Fred, didn't the Archbishop want us to return to the starport first? Why do we continue to follow this human? Hearing these words, the dark star spirit named Fred also sneered. Are you kidding me? This human being has at least 2 crystal fragments on his body. Once captured, they will be able to obtain the crystal shards. This is much faster than searching for crystal fragments from galaxy to galaxy. Besides, the other party is just a blue star human. Not even a psyker. I really don't know why the Archbishop is cowering. At worst, after taking this human being abducted, they would quickly leave the bright star. Anyway, they participated in this starlight gathering to find the whereabouts of the crystal fragments. That human is just an ordinary person. An ordinary person has 2 crystal fragments on his body. Isn't this the crystal shard that was delivered to your door? If we miss it, we may not know where he will be tomorrow. After all, Fred also bewitched other dark stars. After all, it would be difficult for him to take down these 2 humans in a short time if he relied on himself alone. As long as we can capture this human being, it will be a great achievement for us. The Archbishop is too cautious, but this opportunity is very rare. The opportunity must never come again. With our skills, as long as we are fast enough, we won't cause any commotion. As soon as these words came out, many dark stars were also a little moved. After all, they have traveled to multiple galaxies in search of crystal fragments. Now, an unarmed human possesses 2 crystal shards. How could they not be tempted by such a temptation? Thinking of this, many dark stars also decided to disobey the Archbishop's order. Fred, look at those 2 humans going to a remote place. Chu Jong and Yun Qinghan directly changed their route and walked towards a more remote place. Seeing this, Fred also sneered, God help me. On Yun Qinghan's side, he also noticed something was wrong with the route. Chu Jong, what do you want to do? Seeing the surrounding scenery becoming more and more remote, Yun Qinghan thought to herself, could this guy be doing something bad? Then, Yun Qinghan started to think. One thing to say, Chu Jong is really good looking. Moreover, after this period of interstellar voyage, Yun Qinghan's favorable impression of Chu Jong has also greatly increased. Chu Yang's character and courage are definitely the strongest among all the people he has met. If you are really together with Chu Jong, it will be a good outcome. However, being a girl's reserve also made Yun Qinghan a little uneasy. Chu Jong, this is not the way back to Starport. I know, but before returning to the Starport, we have to get rid of the tail at the back. Tail. As soon as these words came out, Yun Qinghan, who was still a little elated at first, felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured directly on his head. Is someone following them? At this moment, Chu Jong stopped and turned around. I really don't know if you are really stupid, or if you are talented people and are bold. Under such circumstances, you can still follow me without hesitation. Hey, it seems you already know that we are following you. Now that you know it, you still dare to go to such a remote place by yourself. Human, I advise you to be more honest, so as not to suffer some physical pain. In the thick night, several dark star spirits also appeared. The leading dark star spirit is the dark star spirit named Fred. Chu Jong looked at the dark star spirit in front of him and narrowed his eyes slightly. Protoss. Wrong. Although the stars in front of me look exactly like the stars in the Spear of Adon. However, some of their characteristics are still very different. The star spirits in the Spear of Adon give people a feeling of nobility and elegance. The stars in front of him felt more like hunters in the darkness. It makes people feel a little scared and exudes an extremely cold atmosphere. Chu Jong had seen Protoss with this kind of aura in the database of Spear of Adon. In the history of the Protoss, there is a group of Protoss who do not agree with the traditional ideas of the Protoss. They gave up their connection with the Protoss god Kara, thus completely breaking away from the entire Protoss clan. And these stars are called Dark Stars. Dark Protoss and traditional Protoss, although they are both Protoss, their relationship is like fire and water. It seems that these guys in front of me are the Dark Stars mentioned in the database. At this moment, Dark Star Spirit Fred also raised his arm. A psychic blade popped out directly from the device on his arm. Human, hand over the crystal fragments on your body. As long as you obediently hand over the crystal fragments, we can let you leave here safe and sound. Crystal shards. Sure enough, the target of these dark stars is the crystal fragment in their hands. Otherwise, Chu Zhang would really not have thought of it. What is there in him that can attract these dark stars? Thinking of this, Chu Zhang also took out the crystal fragment. When the dark stars on the opposite side saw Chu Yang's crystal fragments, their eyes lit up. That's right, the crystal shard is on this human being. Fred also secretly thought, I didn't expect to get the crystal fragments so easily. The Archbishop will definitely praise me if he finds out. Thinking of this, Fred also stretched out his hand towards Chu Zhang. Human, give it to me. Hearing this, Chu Yang's face showed a playful smile. What if I say no? Refuse. You are not qualified to refuse. Brush. Fred pulled out 2 psychic blades from his arms, and his eyes were fixed on the crystal fragments in Chu Yang's hand. When Yun Qinghan saw the dark stars on the opposite side showing off their weapons, his heart tightened. But at this moment, Chu Zhang held him in his arms. Yun Qinghan looked up and saw Chu Zhang looking at her in his arms with a smirk on his face. These guys are coming for me, what are you afraid of? What are you doing? People are rushing over to you, and you are still teasing me here. Before he finished speaking, several figures appeared in the surrounding night. Many dark star spirits were slightly startled. What's the situation? I saw that many pilots had also released their stealth mode, and many dark Protoss found themselves surrounded. Yun Qinghan's eyes widened as well. Were these pilots lurking around them all this time? Thinking of this, Yun Qinghan immediately blushed and broke away from Chu Yang's arms. You have already ambushed the pilot here, right? I deliberately walked to a remote place just to draw these dark stars into the encirclement. Chu Zhang touched her head. Not too stupid. From beginning to end, Chu Zhang never paid attention to these dark stars. In terms of military strength, he has an absolute advantage. In terms of strength, he believed that the pilot's combat effectiveness was no worse than these guys. If it doesn't work, he can still activate the sleeping Protoss warrior in the Spear of Adon. Or, you can summon a Titan yourself to come to the battlefield. No matter which outcome it is, there is only one final result, and that is Chu Zhang will win. Fred, the dark star spirit opposite, glanced at the surrounding pilot warriors and sneered. Is this your trump card? I thought you had some tricks up your sleeve, but now it seems like nothing more than that. You want to stop me just because of these mortals? As soon as he finished speaking, the figure of dark star spirit Fred became increasingly faint in the darkness. Invisible, so will their dark Protoss. In the stealth state, if the opponent has no reconnaissance means, it will be impossible to guard against it. He's just an ordinary person with naked eyes. Do you really think he can fight against us dark stars? In the darkness, Fred's voice gradually came closer. Fred, who was in the invisible state, also showed a proud smile. But at this moment, Fred only heard a series of sound breaking through the air. The next second, several flying knives slashed across his body and landed on the ground around him. Seeing this, Fred smiled. Ridiculous. These guys can't see themselves, so they just attack randomly with such inferior weapons. But at this moment, Fred saw Chu Yang's slightly raised corners of his mouth, as if mocking his ignorance. Buzz. The next second, the reconnaissance knife on the ground emitted a series of special magnetic field waves. Fred, who was in the invisible state, was instantly exposed to everyone's sight. One of the pilots seized the opportunity and moved directly behind Fred with a phase shift. Fred also reacted quickly and swung the psychic blade behind him quickly. Whoosh! When Fred turned around, he found that the pilot also disappeared in an instant. The next second, the pilot appeared beside him. Boom! A mediocre punch knocked Fred to the ground. Fred, who fell to the ground, stared wide-eyed and couldn't believe the result. He actually lost to a human. Immediately afterwards, the pilot raised his reconnaissance knife and inserted it into Fred's armor. Almost instantly, the scout knife hacked into the armor system and blocked all of Fred's armor. A series of actions seemed to have been rehearsed countless times. Before Fred could react, he was captured alive. The Dark Star spirit not far away also changed his expression when he saw his companion being captured. But just when they made a move, the pilots around them immediately raised their firearms. It's over. The hearts of many Dark Star spirits sank. Being captured alive by the enemy was not a good outcome. But at this moment, another voice came from the darkness. Hey, you kids, I've told you not to act rashly. How can someone who can hold crystal fragments be an ordinary person? In the night, the Dark Star Archbishop also gradually revealed his figure. Unlike those Dark Protoss, the Dark Protoss Archbishop holds a huge scythe. It has to be said that the Dark Star Archbishop is completely different from those Dark Stars. Just standing there, he gave people an extremely powerful sense of oppression. Chu Zhong also protected Yun Qinghan behind him. Unexpectedly, after capturing the younger one alive, an older one also came. The Dark Star Archbishop glanced at the captured Dark Stars. The next second, the sickle in his hand turned into a stream of light and attacked those pilots. The pilots also reacted quickly and used phase movement immediately to avoid damage. I saw the sickle streaking through the air, and the Dark Stars gathered around the Dark Star Archbishop. I'm sorry, Archbishop, we were reckless in this action. We didn't expect that this human being has such an elite force. The Dark Star Archbishop looked at the many Dark Stars under his command and sighed. His eyes fell on these Dark Stars, as if he felt sorry for the ignorant children. It's good if you can correct your mistakes if you know them. Having said that, the Dark Star Archbishop also looked at Chu Zhong. A space blade is also pointed at Chu Zhong. Human, hand over the crystal shards. These soldiers may be able to counterbalance them, but to me it's just a wasted effort. As long as I want to take your life, even they can't stop me. The Archbishop of the Dark Star Spirit also made bold statements. Hearing this, Chu Zhong also smiled and did not respond directly to him. At this time, Fred, who was captured alive, immediately shouted. Archbishop, don't lock me up, kill this human now. You're too noisy. Boom. Before he finished speaking, Chu Zhong raised his hand and shot Fred directly to death. Fred's eyes widened and he couldn't believe it. This human being did something like this. Did his life just perish in the hands of a human being? Fred, the Dark Star Archbishop, also couldn't believe that that human actually dared to take action. Human, you have to pay for this. Chu Yang's face was indifferent, and his eyes were unwavering. Since you already want to take my life, you must be prepared to be killed. Ding, all the Dark Protoss data have been analyzed. Anti-psionic armor is ready. Anti-stealth armor is ready. High-power fire armor is ready. At this time, the Dark Star Archbishop felt something was wrong. In the night sky, several dazzling stars appeared. No, get out of the way. Before he finished speaking, several missiles fell straight down like sharp swords. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the location of the Dark Star Archbishop was engulfed in endless flames. The surrounding Dark Stars were caught off guard and were also affected by the aftermath of the explosion. Immediately afterwards, a set of silver-white armor fell from the sky and landed directly on Chu Zhong. Chu Zhong put on the anti-psionic armor. Chu Zhong had already started collecting information about the Dark Protoss when Fred was captured alive. Now, the anti-psionic armor has absorbed all the information about the Dark Protoss. You go back to the ship first. After saying that, Chu Zhong waved his hand, and a piece of armor fell from the sky and enveloped Yun Qinghan in it. Yun Qinghan didn't even have a chance to resist, and the armor took Yun Qinghan back to the starship. Without Yun Qinghan's presence, Chu Zhong had nothing to worry about. Among all the people present, she was the only one who had no fighting ability. Therefore, Chu Zhong also took the lead in getting rid of it. He didn't think that a few missiles could completely kill the Dark Star Archbishop. As expected, a huge sickle stretched out directly from the flames. A layer of energy shield rose up around the Dark Star Archbishop, and it was this layer of energy shield that protected him from the damage of the explosion. Seeing this energy shield, Chu Jong was not surprised. After all, Protoss fanatics can do this too. The Dark Star Archbishop frowned, with a hint of anger on his face. Despicable human being, how dare you sneak attack me? The next second, the Archbishop of the Dark Star Spirit transformed into a bolt of lightning and attacked Chu Jong directly in front of him. Seeing this, the surrounding pilots also opened fire quickly. The dense gun lines intertwined into a dragnet. But the Dark Star Archbishop's combat skills are obviously more powerful than those of the Dark Stars. I saw his figure disappearing into the night in an instant. The surrounding pilots also reacted quickly and directly threw out a large number of reconnaissance knives. I want to use the detective knife to detect the location of the Dark Star Archbishop. But it is obvious that the Dark Star Archbishop has figured out the rules of these reconnaissance knives and directly avoided the scope of the reconnaissance knives. It's ridiculous. This little trick is enough for you to deal with them. If you want to deal with me, you still think too easily. The Dark Star Archbishop also quickly approached Chu Jong. But at this time, Chu Jong stood there without any fear at all. Boom! With a muffled sound, an armor landed from the sky next to Chu Jong. The next second, the armor burst out with a special electromagnetic wave. The range of this electromagnetic wave is extremely wide, directly covering a range of 100 meters around Chu Jong. Although the Dark Star Archbishop is agile, he has no room to dodge when faced with such a large range of reconnaissance electromagnetic waves. In this way, the figure of the Dark Star Archbishop was also revealed in the air. Immediately afterwards, Chu Jong raised his hand, and an energy shield also appeared in front of him. The space blade of the Dark Star Archbishop struck directly on the energy shield. Immediately afterwards, another armor fell from the sky. Hey, you still want to fight me with just these iron sheets? The Dark Star Archbishop waved the space blade in his hand and also attacked the unmanned armor on the side. But the next second, his space blade stopped in the air. Every unmanned armor is actually equipped with an energy shield. His space blade cannot break through the energy shield's defense at all. At this moment, Chu Jong also raised his arm and launched a psychic suppression missile directly towards the Dark Star Archbishop. Boom! The missile exploded, and a psychic interference magnetic field also burst out. The Archbishop of the Dark Star Spirit suddenly felt a chaos in the spiritual energy within his body. Seizing this opportunity, Chu Jong directly controlled all the armors and stepped forward to fight in a group. The Dark Star Archbishop without his psychic powers is just a star spirit with a slightly stronger combat power. The Dark Star Archbishop looks ugly at the moment. What the hell is going on with all this junk? It was as if every move he made was understood by the enemy, and the attacks of these armors were almost all aimed at his own weaknesses. This made the Dark Star Archbishop feel that all his strength was useless. Among them, the special magnetic field released by Chu Yang's anti-psionic armor suppressed the psychic energy in his body. Boom! At this moment, several armors transformed into cages and trapped the Dark Star Archbishop. The Dark Star Archbishop has never fought such a frustrating battle. Looking at the Dark Star Archbishop who was captured alive, Chu Jong sneered. Rest assured, I will not let you die easily before I get the information I want from you. Upon hearing these words, the captured Dark Star Archbishop's eyes widened with anger. But no matter how angry he is, he can only move his eyes now. Chu Jong waved his hand, and many pilots also stepped forward. One of the pilots also picked up the reconnaissance knife and stabbed the Dark Star Archbishop with one knife. Not long after, the Dark Star Archbishop felt that the energy armor on his body had lost its function. Feeling the collapse of the equipment, the Dark Star Archbishop also widened his eyes. Who the hell are you? How is it possible to crack the equipment of our Dark Protoss? Now, even the Dark Star Archbishop was panicking. When he had the equipment, he was no match for these people, but now that he has no equipment, it would be even more difficult for him to escape. And Chu Jong chuckled. You will see who we are in a moment. Afterwards, Chu Jong stepped forward and searched for the Dark Star Archbishop. Finally, the third crystal fragment also appeared in Chu Yang's hands. Chu Jong put this third crystal fragment together with his own crystal fragment. As expected, the three crystal fragments merged together again. Take away. Chu Jong waved his hand, and many pilots escorted the Dark Star Archbishop back to the starport. There is too much noise in the fighting here. It won't be long before the escort of the Bright Stars will arrive here. Once the forces of Bright Star intervene, Chu Zhang cannot guarantee that anything unexpected will happen. As a result, many pilots also escorted the Dark Star Archbishop back to the starport. When the Dark Star Archbishop was escorted to the starport, he finally saw Chu Yang's Spear of Adon. This Doomsday Ark, once built by gathering all the technologies of the Protoss, now appears in front of the Dark Protoss Archbishop. The eyes of the Dark Star Archbishop were filled with shock. Spear of Adon, how can it be? Didn't this Ark fall on the Protoss mother planet during the Zerg War? Why did it suddenly appear here now? When the Dark Star Archbishop was escorted into the Spear of Adon, his expression changed drastically. The interior of the Spear of Adon is full of various Protoss technologies. Now, the Dark Protoss Archbishop can be sure. The Spear of Adon in front of them is the Doomsday Ark that their Protoss once built. How could this human being own the Doomsday Ark of our Protoss clan? At this moment, something even more shocking happened to him. Several Star Spirit fanatics also appeared in front of the Dark Star Spirit Archbishop. These Star Spirit fanatics glanced at the Dark Star Spirit Archbishop, with a playful smile in their eyes. "Captain, please leave this Dark Star Spirit to us to deal with. We will never be merciful to these Dark Protoss who betrayed L. We'll learn everything you need to know from his mouth." Chu Zhang glanced at the Star Spirit fanatics, and then waved. Many pilots also understood and handed over the Dark Star Archbishop to the fanatics. When the Dark Star Archbishop looked at the fanatics who were also Star Spirits in front of him, instead of feeling any luck, his eyes were filled with despair. You know, although they are both Star Spirits, but the Dark Protoss and the L Protoss are completely two extremes. If he falls into the hands of these L Stars, one can imagine his fate. These L Protoss will not show any mercy, and their methods will even be more cruel. The Dark Star Archbishop seems to have foreseen his own ending. At this time, Chu Zhang also came directly to Stark Laboratory. After this battle, he also gained a new understanding of Stark Laboratory. This Stark Laboratory is simply an artifact. After just a round of battle, a lot of battle data appeared in the entire Stark Laboratory database. Artificial Intelligence Friday once again simulated a large amount of armor data based on the battle data of the Dark Protoss Archbishop. Dark Protoss armor, armor created based on Dark Protoss data, has extremely strong combat capabilities and stealth capabilities. Pilot armor, armor created based on pilot data, integrates all pilot equipment and makes switching smoother. Titan armor is a heavy armor manufactured based on the data of Titan mecha. With the heavy firepower of Titan mecha, it increases the flexibility of wearing it. I have to say that this Stark Laboratory is simply a treasure trove. Friday, record the data of this battle. Roger that, Captain. After collecting the battle data, Chu Zhang also left Stark Laboratory and headed to the bridge. Unexpectedly, on the way, he met Yun Qinghan, who was sent back by him in advance. At this moment, Yun Qinghan looked anxious and was walking back and forth in the cabin. The moment she saw Chu Zhang, the uneasiness on her face immediately disappeared. "Chu Zhang, you're back. Otherwise, you still want me to die in battle." Chu Zhang made a joke, which also made Yun Qinghan roll her eyes. "That's the Dark Star Spirit. I heard that the Dark Star Spirit's fighting style is extremely brutal and has powerful stealth skills. Aren't I afraid that something will happen to you? You actually have the guts to make a joke." After hearing these words, Chu Zhang also touched Yun Qinghan's head. "Don't worry, just a few dark stars can't do anything to me." At this moment, a message popped up on Chu Yang's microcomputer. "Zealot, report to Captain, the Dark Protoss Archbishop requests to see you." Zealot, he said he knew the location of the fourth crystal shard. Fanatic. Furthermore, he also said that with only 4 crystal fragments, the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire can be located. Chu Zhang didn't expect that the Dark Star Archbishop would recruit him so quickly. Chapter 31. Arriving at the interrogation room, Chu Zhang also sat in front of the Dark Star Archbishop. Today's Dark Star Archbishop is bound by a cage made of special alloy. In this case, let alone attacking Chu Zhang, it was difficult for him to even turn his head. And Chu Zhang sat opposite him, also calm and composed. "Let's talk." It's a good deal, I can let you go. Unexpectedly, as soon as these words came out, the Dark Star Archbishop opposite him also laughed. I'm not one of those idiots. I know you won't let me go. You didn't kill me now, you just wanted to get some information from me. Hearing these words, Chu Jong also showed a smile on his face. That's right, from the beginning, he had no intention of letting the Dark Star Archbishop go. To cut off the weed must remove the root, this saying is not empty talk. The reason why Chu Jong spared his life was because he wanted to get more information from him. Since you know everything, do you still plan to continue to explain? Unexpectedly, the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him let out a burst of uncomfortable laughter. Immediately afterwards, the Dark Star Archbishop also looked at Chu Jong. Of course I have to tell you, the fourth crystal fragment is in the Wasteland Galaxy. You can directly reach the Wasteland Galaxy through the Stargate. Furthermore, I can tell you responsibly that as long as you collect 4 crystal fragments, you can obtain the legacy of the old human empire. The fourth crystal fragment is in the Wasteland Galaxy. This information was also recorded by Chu Jong. However, looking at the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him, Chu Jong couldn't help but murmur in his heart. He didn't believe that the Dark Star Archbishop would tell him the news so easily. Something weird. Looking at the Dark Star Archbishop in front of him, his smile fell on Chu Yang's eyes, looking even weirder. Chu Jong thought for a moment and asked his men to investigate the origin of this Wasteland Galaxy. Soon, news about the Wasteland Galaxy was also transmitted to Chu Yang's microcomputer. Chu Jong turned on the microcomputer and also checked the news about the Wasteland Galaxy. After he finished checking, he couldn't help but look at the Dark Star Archbishop. What a conspiracy! The Wasteland Galaxy was originally an ordinary galaxy. But just a few years ago, the Zerg invaded this galaxy, and 5 of the 7 planets in the entire galaxy were corrupted into insect nests. In other words, today's Wasteland Galaxy has become the nest of the Zerg. An entire galaxy of Zerg, no one else can get close to it easily. Originally, this galaxy was controlled by the Galactic Covenant Alliance, but just recently, a large number of fleets swarmed in. There is only one reason why these fleets came to the Wasteland Galaxy. That's the Crystal Shard. The captains of these fleets were all attracted by the crystal fragments. The temptation of the S-Class Glory Queen class battleship is not something ordinary people can resist. Moreover, it is rumored that there are as many as 20 S-Class Glory Queen class battleships built by the old human empire. 20 S-Class battleships, once they are born, will be a terrifying war machine. Chu Jong touched his chin and started thinking in his heart. If you go to the Wasteland Galaxy for the 4th crystal fragment, then he not only has to deal with the Zerg that can be seen everywhere, but he also has to deal with the threats of other crystal holders. Thinking of this, Chu Jong also made a decision in his heart. He is going to the Wasteland Galaxy. The coordinates of the Wasteland Galaxy are exactly at the edge of the Milky Way. I have already obtained 3 crystal fragments, and I am just missing the last crystal fragment. Now, the most likely place to obtain crystal fragments is in the Wasteland Galaxy. If you can plunder other people's crystal fragments, that's not bad, and you don't necessarily have to go deep into the insect nest. Thinking of this, Chu Jong also raised his head again and looked at the Dark Star Archbishop. Your plan is very good. I have already planned to go to the Wasteland Galaxy to find the 4th crystal fragment. If I don't die in the hands of the Zerg or other crystal holders, then when I come back, it will be your death. As soon as these words came out, the Dark Star Archbishop opposite laughed. Aren't you going to kill me now? No, it's too cheap to kill you now. I want you to see my victory with your own eyes, and then die in pain. After that, Chu Jong left the interrogation room directly. In the interrogation room, the Dark Star Archbishop also fell into silence. When Chu Jong walked out of the interrogation room, he also returned to the bridge. Next, he only needs to wait for his system to finish signing in at Bright Star. Ding! Congratulations on your successful sign-in. Reward, Emperor's Church. Ding! Congratulations on your successful sign-in. Reward, 1000 Viking fighter planes. 3 days later, the system finally completed the sign-in for the Bright Stars. This time the sign-in reward actually awarded another building. Chu Jong was a little curious, knowing that Stark Laboratory had given him a lot of help. I just don't know what magical effect this Imperial Church will have. Thinking of this, Chu Jong stood up decisively and came to one of the rooms under the guidance of the system. Pushing open the door, a magnificent church appeared in front of Chu Jong. At the end of this church, a huge golden statue sits on a throne. On both sides of the church, several battle nuns were praying devoutly. When Chu Jong walked into the church, the battle nuns also reacted. One of the battle sisters came over and saluted Chu Jong. "Dear Captain, nice to meet you." Chu Jong glanced at these battle nuns and began to think about the role of this imperial church. The battle nun opposite seemed to understand Chu Yang's thoughts. Therefore, this battle nun also introduced to Chu Jong. "This is the Emperor's church, the place where the Emperor's statue is enshrined. Although the Emperor is no longer in this universe, his power will protect those who believe in him. As long as the Emperor's church exists, the Emperor's power will affect your whole body." The power of the Emperor. Chu Jong didn't feel any Emperor's power. Moreover, what does the battle sister mean when she says that the Emperor is not in this universe? Chu Jong frowned slightly and touched his chin. Compared to Stark Laboratory, the role of the Emperor's church is not obvious. But fortunately, there are some battle nuns in the Emperor's church. The fighting power of these battle nuns is much stronger than those of fanatics. Wasteland Galaxy, Galactic Covenant Outpost. In order to control the expansion of the Zerg in the Wasteland Galaxy, the Galactic Star Alliance also established an outpost around the Wasteland Galaxy. In this outpost, a fleet of 100 ships stayed behind. In this way, even if the Zerg in the Wasteland Galaxy get out of control, the Galactic Covenant Alliance will be able to receive the news quickly. At this moment, in the Galaxy Star Alliance outpost, 2 Star Alliance members were looking at the vast starry sky in front of them. At this moment, a fleet escaped from the space jump state and appeared in the Wasteland Galaxy. Seeing the fleet appearing in front of them, the 2 Star Alliance members looked not surprised. Because during this period of time, there have been countless fleets coming in and out of the Wasteland system. Their purpose is very simple. It is nothing more than to get clues about the old human empire in the insect nest. But most people never come back. However, the Galactic Covenant Alliance did not stop these people. After all, if they want to move around in the insect nest, they will definitely have to deal with those insects. Isn't it a good thing for the Galactic Star Alliance to use these treasure hunters to consume the Zerg forces while waiting for work? Which fleet is this fleet this month? I don't know, I can't remember clearly. I only remember the fleets leaving the Wasteland system. There are only 2 fleets this month. It's really ridiculous that these guys are working so hard for the so-called legacy of the old human empire. After all, that is the legacy of the old human empire. At that time, the old human empire was superior to all races and was undoubtedly the strongest race in the galaxy. Although the old human empire has disappeared now, the legacy it left behind is enough to change the destiny of a race. The 2 Star Alliance members also looked at each other. To them, the legacy of the old human empire is nothing more than a hot potato. In recent years, those in the insect hive are not the only ones who have died due to the fight for inheritance. At this moment, a stream of light appeared in the vast sea of stars. The spear of Adon also escaped from the space jump state and appeared in the Wasteland Galaxy. The 2 Star Alliance members couldn't help but widen their eyes after seeing the huge system of the spear of Adon. What type of starship is this? Why is it so big? You ask me, who am I asking? The largest starship I have ever seen is just a star destroyer. This is my first time to see such a huge starship. But why are there no frigates around this starship? Such a large starship would be in trouble if it was focused on fire. On the bridge of the Spear of Adon, Chu Jong also turned on the radar. Under the radar search, several planets in the Wasteland Galaxy also appeared on the map. Several planets in the Wasteland Galaxy have been completely corroded by the Zerg, and the entire planet has become a nest of the Zerg. And these insect nests are also divided into several levels: Insect Nest Alpha, Insect Nest Beta. Among them, Hive Alpha also has the highest danger level. At the same time, there are the most crystal fragments on Hive Alpha. Originally there was only 1 crystal fragment on Hive Alpha, but as more and more crystal holders died here, Nest Alpha has also become the place with the most crystal fragments buried. Fortunately, those Zerg don't know how to use these crystal fragments. Otherwise, the legacy of the old human empire would have been taken advantage of by these Zerg races. Chu Zhong also drove the spear of Adon to the vicinity of Insect Nest Alpha. Looking at the dark green planet that had been polluted by the Zerg, Chu Zhong also began to prepare to drive the spacecraft to land on the surface of Zerg Nest Alpha. Chu Zhong, you have to be careful. At this time, Yun Qinghan also walked over. Knowing that Chu Zhong was coming to a dangerous place like the Wasteland Galaxy, Yun Qinghan was a little worried and followed him immediately. Chu Zhong also waved his hand to indicate the several pieces of nanoscale armor he carried on his wrist. For this operation, Chu Zhong also created several nano-armors specifically designed to hunt the Zerg in Stark's laboratory based on the collected Zerg information. These nano-armors look like a bracelet, but in times of crisis, they can transform into armor to protect Chu Zhong at any time. Don't worry, I'm not going to the surface of the insect nest alone this time. As soon as I find the crystal shards, I will leave the surface of the insect nest immediately. The surface of the insect nest is full of dangers, and the insects here have evolved to an extremely powerful level. It was not without thought that Chu Zhong directly drove the spear of Adon to the surface. However, with the huge size of the spear of Adon, if it lands on the surface, it will definitely become the target of the insect swarm's attack. At that time, it will be inconvenient for your actions. Therefore, Chu Zhong also drove the spacecraft towards the surface of Hive Alpha. According to the information marked on the official website of the Galaxy Star Alliance, in order to better strangle the Zerg, the Galaxy Star Alliance also specially set up a stronghold on the surface of the Zerg hive. In this stronghold, there are also hunters from all over the Star Sea who come to hunt the Zerg. Some are bounties set for the Galactic Covenant Alliance, while others simply hate the Zerg. Of course, some people are here for some secret treasures in the insect nest. Countless victims die in the insect nest every year, and their treasures are plundered by the insect. Chu Zhong also piloted the spacecraft and landed in the stronghold on the surface of the insect nest. In the center of the stronghold in front of you is a huge dispersal tower. The dispersing tower continuously emits a special magnetic field. Under the influence of this special magnetic field, most of the Zerg will take a detour. With the dispersion tower as the center, a stronghold was formed. Arriving at the base, Chu Zhong also registered the spacecraft information. While walking in the stronghold, Chu Zhong also checked his crystal fragments. He found that his crystal fragments also reacted violently in this stronghold. Moreover, this crystal fragment keeps changing directions. Seeing the reaction of the crystal fragment, Chu Zhong understood instantly. There must be other crystal holders in this stronghold, and there is more than one. Sure enough, most of the crystal holders wanted to try their luck in the insect nest. If you are lucky, you can directly collect 4 crystal fragments and obtain the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. Just when Chu Zhong was about to collect intelligence first, a familiar voice sounded behind him. Young man, why are you here? Hearing this familiar voice, Chu Zhong followed the sound and looked over. Behind a small stall on the roadside, the middle-aged man I met at the Starlight Gathering was also sitting there with a slovenly look on his face. Chu Zhong was also a little surprised when he saw this middle-aged man. He didn't expect that he would meet this businessman again in the vast universe. However, since this guy can participate in the Starlight Gathering, he is more or less a capable businessman. But now, looking at his appearance, he doesn't look like he can enter the Starlight Gathering. And that middle-aged man didn't seem to care about him at all. Young man, we are so destined. This is the second time we have met. Since we are so destined, if you come to buy something from me this time, I can give you a 20% discount. Shopping. Chu Zhong glanced at his stall and saw that his stall was full of scraps and scraps as always. If these junks are placed here, no one passing by will even take a look. Boss, there is nothing on your stall that I want to buy. The second time he met this strange businessman, Chu Zhong also became interested and squatted at the stall in front of him. The middle-aged man looked at Chu Zhong, and a glint flashed in his eyes. Young man, you are lucky to have met me. Don't call me boss, just call me Lao Huang. The things I sell at this stall are not just junk. What I really sell is information about the insect nest. Intelligence. Hearing these two words, Chu Jong also became interested. He had just arrived, and he didn't want to rush out of this stronghold without understanding the situation of Hive Alpha. Now, what he needs most is information. But the businessman named Lao Huang in front of him told him that he was selling insect nest information here. Chu Jong also became interested, and then took out a bag of star coins and placed them on Lao Huang's stall. Can you tell me if you have any information? I saw old Huang's quick eyes and quick hands, and he directly pocketed the bag of star coins. Later, Chu Jong also obtained a lot of useful information. First of all, there was the news about the crystal fragments that he was most concerned about. According to the information Lao Huang has collected in the stronghold these days, there are currently 3 crystal shard holders in this camp. One of the crystal shard holders is one of the famous 5 emperors of the Star Sea in the Outer Realm. Chu Jong had also heard of the rumors of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors of Shanghai. These 8 people are known as the strongest planet lords in the outer world. They are not affiliated with any organization, but their strength is strong enough to rival any interstellar organization. Among them, the one currently operating in the insect nest is Wu Miao, known as the Wild Hunt Emperor. Wu Miao's race is a famous warlike race in the Star Sea, the Virgil race. They love hunting activities. This time Wu Miao came to the insect nest to hunt the bloodthirsty king insect that has only recently started to act. There is a crystal fragment in the body of the bloodthirsty king insect. Wu Miao hunted the bloodthirsty king insect for the crystal fragments in its body. After hearing this information, Chu Jong also touched his chin. Unexpectedly, there are such powerful beings among those crystal holders. Wild Hunt Emperor, Wu Miao. He has seen his information. He owns dozens of planet territories under his command, and his flagship is the feared S-class skeleton battleship. He seems to be a psyker himself. If he really encounters him, it will still be a bit tricky for Chu Jong now. Thinking of this, Chu Jong also looked at Lao Huang. Besides this bloodthirsty king insect, are there any other crystal fragments whereabouts? Lao Huang shook his head and told Chu Jong. Generally, the trophies captured by the Zerg tribe will be offered to the king Zerg first. Each insect swarm has a king insect leader. At this time, the only ones who can find traces are the bloodthirsty king insects. Other king insects will basically not show up easily when they are not eating. Otherwise, the Star Alliance would have killed all these king insects over the years. Without the leadership of the king insect, the insect swarm is just a piece of scattered sand, and there is nothing to fear. I see. Chu Jong also learned enough information from Lao Huang. I have to say that although this old Huang looks a bit sloppy, his information here is indeed the most comprehensive. Finally, Chu Jong also purchased a map of Hive Alpha from Lao Huang. With maps and intelligence, Chu Jong also had the capital to set out from his stronghold. Therefore, Chu Jong also included the map in his microcomputer. After leaving the stronghold, Chu Jong also headed towards the location of the bloodthirsty king insect. Along the way, his crystal fragments flickered on and off. This shows that other crystal holders are also preparing to hunt the bloodthirsty king insect. Squeak squeak. After leaving the Star Alliance stronghold, Chu Jong also came to a deserted forest. Looking around, the trees in this forest are all withered and yellow. The liquid secreted by the Zerg is still hanging on the bare tree branches. Captain, be careful. These Zerg are very good at sneak attacks. Please don't leave our sight range. Many pilots also protected Chu Jong in the center. Regarding the combat capabilities of these pilots, Chu Jong is relatively reassured. Unexpectedly, at this time Chu Jong felt the ground beneath his feet tremble. Almost instantly, Chu Jong put on the armor directly. A psychic blade protruded from his arm device. PFF'd. The next second, Chu Jong directly pierced the psychic blade into the ground under his feet. Along with a burst of screams coming from the ground, Chu Jong turned over and pulled out the psychic blade. Looking back, I saw wisps of acidic green liquid on the psychic blade constantly evaporating in the air. Then, the ground cracked. A large number of ground-escaping Zerg emerged from the ground. Seeing these escaped Zerg, Chu Jong also narrowed his eyes slightly. No wonder he had left the dispersing tower and still hadn't seen a single Zerg. It turned out that these Zerg were all hiding underground. Fire. Chu Yang's voice contained no emotion. Many pilots also directly raised their firearms. A lot of bullets poured out. The bullets used by the pilot are special armor-piercing bullets developed by Stark Laboratories. Afterwards, the Star Forge of the Spear of Adon also mass-produced this special armor-piercing projectile. This special armor-piercing bullet was developed specifically for the Zerg. The armor of the Zerg is comparable to steel, and it has no advantage at all in front of this special bullet. A large number of bullets penetrated the bodies of the ground escape Zerg, and a large number of ground escape Zerg fell down like wheat. Hiss. Many Zerg have never seen such ferocious firepower. The armor they are proud of is as fragile as paper in front of these special armor-piercing bullets. If anyone saw this scene, they would be shocked. You know, when they encounter the Zerg on weekdays, they either run away immediately, or they need a lot of firepower to check and balance the Zerg. The Zerg's shell armor is comparable to steel, making it difficult to damage it without weapons of mass destruction. However, now these Zerg have no power to fight back in front of Chu Yang's control troops. Pieces of groundbreaking Zerg fell to the ground one after another, and the remaining groundbreaking Zerg were also aware of the opponent's powerful fighting power. Driven by instinct, the remaining escaping Zerg quickly began to escape, trying to escape the bullets. Chu Zhong turned on the armor's data recording function and uploaded all combat data to Stark's laboratory. Ding, the data of the Earth escape Zerg has been accepted. Ding, a special armor-piercing bullet number 2 has been created based on the data. Ding, special armor-piercing bullet number 2 has been uploaded to the Starry Sky Forge database. The Star Forge and the Spear of Adon also received ammunition blueprints from Stark's laboratory. As a result, the special armor-piercing bullet number 1 being produced was also directly replaced. Ding, I have received the number 2 drawing of the special armor-piercing projectile. Ding, the drawings have been loaded and manufacturing has started. Production of special armor-piercing bullet number 2 began. Perhaps the Zerg did not expect that after every battle of Chu Zhong and his team, their equipment could be upgraded twice based on the battle data. This speed of upgrading is even faster than the evolution of the Zerg. Zerg evolution may take days or months. But if Chu Zhong wants to develop weapons and ammunition against them, he only needs to upload the data to the Stark laboratory after the battle. Stark Labs can create corresponding weapons in a few hours or even minutes. Chu Zhong discovered that the Stark laboratory combined with the Starry Sky Forge was simply the most powerful arms assembly line. After the data was uploaded, Chu Zhong also waved his hand. Many pilots also continued to follow the guidance of the map and headed towards the territory of the bloodthirsty king insect. On Nest Alpha, many king insects also have their own territories. Each insect swarm has its own fixed territory, and the place where Chu Zhong is now is the territory of the escaped Zerg. After continuing to move forward, Chu Zhong and the others finally arrived at the area where the bloodthirsty Zerg were. When they stepped into this area, a strong smell of blood hit their faces. The ground beneath their feet was covered with dead bones, and there were also a lot of dried blood. The scarlet blood mixed with the land, turning the land in front of him into a strange red color. This is the territory of the bloodthirsty king insect. Everyone, please be careful. According to the information provided by Lao Huang, the bloodthirsty Zerg are the most powerful and troublesome existence among all the Zerg. They can drain the blood of a creature 10 times larger than themselves in a short period of time. Because of this, they are also called bloodthirsty Zerg. Buzz buzz. At this moment, there was a sound of insects in the distance. In the distance, a blood-red dark cloud also flew towards this side. Seeing this, Chu Yang's expression also changed. I didn't expect us to be so unlucky. We encountered a swarm of bloodthirsty insects as soon as we arrived here. Chu Zhong waved his hand, and many pilots quickly prepared for battle. The bloodthirsty swarm is getting closer. At this time, Chu Zhong could already see the specific appearance of these bloodthirsty insect swarms. Compared to the earth-evading Zerg, the bloodthirsty Zerg are only about the size of a watermelon. But the advantage of the bloodthirsty Zerg is that they are extremely numerous. Every time they appear, there are basically thousands of Zerg moving at the same time. Thousands of bloodthirsty Zerg, gathered together, are like a deadly dark cloud. On a hillside in the distance, a figure was riding a horse looking down at the people in Chu Zhong below. Behind this man, many cavalrymen wearing armor and holding long swords were also standing there, exuding a strong coercion that no strangers should enter. Great Emperor, someone is here again. This person seems to be a human being. He probably came here for the crystal shards. That's right, the Virgil man riding a war horse and wearing armor in front of him is Yumiao, known as the Wild Hunt Emperor. His remaining war horse is a biochemical horse bred by Alloy Biotechnology. The biochemical horse has unlimited endurance and extremely powerful defense. The armor on his body also uses energy armor manufacturing technology, and the surface of the armor has this layer of energy shield. On the surface, these people look like cavalry in the cold weapon era. In fact, every weapon in their hands is an advanced technology that other civilizations have been unable to crack for thousands of years of research. The Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao glanced at Chu Zhang and his party who were about to encounter a swarm of bloodthirsty insects. He took out his crystal fragment and found that the crystal fragment pointed in the direction of Chu Zhang. Unexpectedly, this blue star human is also a crystal holder. That's all. With their numbers, they probably won't be able to resist this wave of bloodthirsty insects. After the bloodthirsty swarm eats them all, it won't be too late for us to recover the crystal fragments. Wu Miao didn't take Chu Zhang seriously. After taking a look at Chu Yang's team, he lost any interest. He thought he could find a suitable opponent by following the guidance of the crystal. However, when he saw that Chu Zhang was just a blue star human, not even a psyker, he was disappointed. In his opinion, Chu Zhang was just a lucky guy who happened to get the crystal shards. Boom! At this moment, an explosion suddenly sounded. Wu Miao also followed the sound and looked towards Chu Yang's team. I saw those pilots wearing arc shurikens in their hands. One of the pilots threw the arc shuriken directly into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects. Boom! The arc shuriken exploded, and large swaths of the bloodthirsty zerg fell. These bloodthirsty zergs gather together to move, which makes it easier for the pilots to throw arc shurikens. Boom! 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 The bloodthirsty zerg lost most of their troops before they could get close to Chu Zhang. There are only a few scattered bloodthirsty zerg that are not worth fearing at all. I saw those pilots raising their firearms and finishing off these bloodthirsty zerg in 3 or 2 strokes. Ding! The bloodthirsty zerg information has been collected. Ding! The battle data has been uploaded to Stark Laboratory. Chu Zhang uploaded the data to Stark's laboratory, and then took a look at the corpses of the bloodthirsty zerg on the ground. It seems that these zerg are not that difficult to deal with. Oh, it's interesting. Chu Yang's performance also successfully attracted Wu Miao's attention. He originally thought that it was impossible for Chu Zhang, an ordinary human being, to survive this swarm of bloodthirsty insects. But the reality shocked him. Chu Zhang not only killed these bloodthirsty insect swarms, but he didn't even spend much energy in the process. Several arc shurikens were thrown over. Although those bloodthirsty insect swarms were powerful in attack, their defense was extremely weak. Under the bombardment of arc shurikens, these bloodthirsty insect swarms were also directly wiped out. The way Chu Zhang dealt with the bloodthirsty insect swarm really gave Wu Miao a new understanding of the human being in front of him. You know, Wu Miao has seen many mercenaries. When dealing with the bloodthirsty insect swarm, they were already defeated before the head-on confrontation began. Of course, in the end, these people became food for the bloodthirsty insect swarm in vain. Thinking of this, Wu Miao also became interested in Chu Zhang. Let's go meet this blue star human for a while. Having said that, Wu Miao also held the reins in his hand, and the remaining biochemical horses also understood it. Many cavalry followed closely behind. On Chu Yang's side, just after he had collected the data on the bloodthirsty zerg, he also heard the sound of horse hooves approaching. The sound of horse hooves. How could a creature like a horse exist on this insect nest where no grass grows? However, when he raised his head and looked in the direction of the sound, he couldn't help but wonder if he was dazzled. On the horizon in the distance, a group of cavalry wearing armor also appeared in his field of vision. When he saw this group of cavalry wearing armor and swords at their waists, Chu Zhang narrowed his eyes slightly and couldn't help but be on guard. You know, in this world, the higher the level of civilization, the more primitive its weapons are. Some advanced civilizations, although their civilization levels are extremely high, love cold weapons. Besides, none of the teams that can appear here are good. Sure enough, after letting this group of cavalry approach, Chu Zhang saw clearly that the remaining horses of these cavalry were all biochemical horses. This kind of horse is said to be a living thing, but strictly speaking, it is just a machine. However, compared to normal horses, this kind of biochemical horse not only has strong defense, but also never feels matched. Once it charges, the speed of this biochemical horse is comparable to a spaceship. At this moment, the leader Wu Miao also rode forward and looked down at Chu Zhang. Blue Star Human, I just saw it from the side. I didn't expect that, as an ordinary person, you could kill these bloodthirsty bugs so easily. I admire you very much. If you want to join me, I, Wu Miao, will never treat any of my talents badly. Yu Miao. Hearing this name, Chu Yang's words also echoed in Chu Yang's mind. That Wild Hunt Emperor is a Virgilian named Yu Miao. If you meet him then, you'd better run away. Even if you can't run away, you should try your best to save your life. After all, that is the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. Good guy. Chu Zhang didn't know whether he was unlucky or lucky, but he won the first prize right away. Among the 3 crystal holders, the most competitive one is the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. You must know that among the 8 strong men who can achieve the title of 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in the cruel sea of stars, none of them is a fuel-efficient lamp. Seeing Chu Yang's hesitation, Wu Miao also smiled faintly. You must be here to look for crystal fragments, right? But it's a pity that now in the entire wasteland galaxy, except for the crystal fragments on the king insect, all the remaining crystal fragments are in my hands. Hearing this sentence, Chu Zhang couldn't help but frown slightly. What's the meaning? According to Lao Huang's information, there are 3 crystal holders in the wasteland galaxy so far. Unexpectedly, the next second, Wu Miao took out 2 heads from the storage bag on the side. After Chu Zhang saw these 2 heads, he immediately understood. It turned out that the other 2 crystal holders had been beheaded by Wu Miao. Wu Miao looked at Chu Zhang with a teasing smile on his face. I originally planned to hunt you down together with the king insect. But, after seeing your previous performance, I changed my mind. Now, you have a chance to survive, that is to become my subordinate. How about it? I can give you 5 minutes to think about it. Wu Miao looked at Chu Zhang as if he had already seen Chu Yang's next ending. And Chu Zhang looked at Wu Miao in front of him and began to think secretly in his heart. In terms of strength, Wu Miao, as the Wild Hunt Emperor, is definitely far superior to him. The coercion emanating from him was even stronger than the Dark Star Archbishop he met back then. Now there is a head-on conflict with Wu Miao, there is only one way to die. However, Chu Zhang will not just surrender. I still have a chance. As long as I can collect Wu Miao's combat data, I can use Stark Laboratory and Starry Sky Forge to create weapons and equipment for Wu Miao. Thinking of this, Chu Yang's brain was also running rapidly. Finally, Wu Miao looked at Chu Zhang impatiently. Have you considered? At this moment, many Virgil cavalry behind him also slowly drew out the high-powered swords on their waists. Seeing this, Chu Zhang also spoke. If you want me to be your subordinate, you must first prove that you are better than me. Prove that I'm better than you. Hearing this sentence, Wu Miao seemed to have heard some joke. Brush. I saw a powerful wave of energy burst out from the high-energy blade in his hand. As he raised his hand, a sword energy containing violent energy swept through the area like a storm. Wherever it passes, everything is broken down into its most primitive molecular state. Wu Miao looked down at Chu Zhang, and the high-powered blade in his hand was also pointed at Chu Zhang. Is this enough to prove that I'm better than you? Good guy. Chu Zhang also quickly recorded Wu Miao's combat data just now, but the combat data from this one blow alone was not enough. Therefore, Chu Zhang continued to stimulate Wu Miao. Not enough. Not enough. Then tell me, what can prove that I am better than you? Wu Miao looked at the blue star human in front of him with interest. Chu Zhang also struck while the iron was hot and continued, since you are called the Wild Hunt Emperor, then let's hunt. Whoever can kill the bloodthirsty king insect first will prove that he is more powerful. Hunting the bloodthirsty kingworm, Wu Miao smiled. As a Virgilian, he has survived hunting and fighting since he was a child. Chu Zhang actually wanted to compare his hunting ability with him. Then hunting, Wu Miao smiled. He was laughing at how Chu Zhang, an ordinary human being, could be so overestimated. He actually chose to compete with him to see who could hunt the bloodthirsty king insect first. Wu Miao laughed, and then put away the high-powered sword in his hand. Boy, you are smart, but not smart enough. Do you know why I'm called the Wild Hunt Emperor? That's because the prey I target always has only one outcome, and that is to be hunted by me. After that, Wu Miao pulled the reins and said something very arrogantly. Be prepared to fail. Afterwards, Wu Miao also left with his cavalry. And Chu Zhong also knows very well that now he has become one of Wu Miao's prey. If he couldn't collect enough battle data about Wu Miao, he would be doomed. Wild Hunting Emperor Wu Miao, this is definitely the most powerful enemy Chu Zhong has encountered since he stepped into the Sea of Stars. No matter in terms of personal ability or the strength of his troops, Wu Miao is far superior to him. If you want to win, you must not have too many head-on conflicts with him. Buzz. At this moment, there was also a sound of insects in the distance. Chu Zhong raised his head and looked over, frowning slightly. I saw a large number of bloodthirsty Zerg gathering on the horizon in the distance, numbering over 1,000,000. Millions of bloodthirsty Zerg gathered together, like a black cloud over the city. And the reason why this situation occurs is that there is only one possibility. The bloodthirsty king insect appears. Only when the bloodthirsty king insect appears can he order millions of insects to protect him. I didn't expect the king insect to appear so soon. The corners of Wu Miao's mouth also raised slightly, and then she looked at Chu Zhong with a teasing smile. Boy, be prepared for failure. After saying that, Wu Miao ran directly towards the place where the bloodthirsty insect swarm was. Those are millions of bloodthirsty Zerg. Such a number of Zerg can be placed on any planet. In just 1 hour, they can kill all the creatures in an entire city. But facing such a large number of bloodthirsty Zerg, Wu Miao not only had no fear at all, but began to get excited. Chu Zhong watched Wu Miao rush into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects, but he did not follow him immediately. Captain, what should we do next? The surrounding pilots also asked Chu Zhong, and they could also feel that the cavalry under Wu Miao was extremely powerful. If a fight really breaks out, they may not be able to deal with those cavalry on such flat terrain. The maneuverability and flexibility of the pilot can only be demonstrated in complex terrain such as high-rise buildings. The plain terrain in front of them was somewhat disadvantageous to them. But Chu Zhong didn't panic at all at this moment. He raised his hand to signal the pilot to follow him. Later, Chu Zhong also occupied a high place. Through the heights, Chu Zhong also saw the battle between the bloodthirsty Zerg and Wu Miao. I saw Wu Miao leading his cavalry and rushing straight into the swarm of bloodthirsty insects. A large number of bloodthirsty Zerg were aroused when they saw how brave the other party was. Several bloodthirsty Zerg attacked Wu Miao directly, their sharp fangs could easily tear apart steel. But the moment they approached Wu Miao, a transparent energy barrier blocked their way. Seeing this, Wu Miao sneered. Brush. The high-energy sword in his hand was swung out, and a powerful energy wave exploded like a bomb. With Wu Miao as the center, all the bloodthirsty Zerg approaching were immediately shattered into pieces by the energy shock wave. Immediately afterwards, Wu Miao swung a sword. The sword energy containing terrifying energy also directly cleared a path among the bloodthirsty insects. Looking at Wu Miao below, who was like a god of war, rushing back and forth among the bloodthirsty insects, Chu Zhong immediately launched his drone and started collecting his battle data. At this moment, among the bloodthirsty insects, a huge bloodthirsty king insect also appeared in everyone's sight. Compared with the ordinary bloodthirsty Zerg, the size of the bloodthirsty king insect is about 100 times larger. Not only that, around this bloodthirsty king insect, several strong bloodthirsty guard insects are also guarding the king insect. Seeing the king insect appear, Wu Miao also smiled. Charge me. Yes. The cavalry under Wu Miao let out a loud roar, and the remaining biochemical horses also emitted a scarlet light. With an order, many cavalrymen directly started charging mode. The powerful biochemical horse is like a chariot, rampaging among the bloodthirsty insects. Many cavalrymen held sharp swords, and the powerful energy magnetic field formed an energy shock wave in front of them. Wherever they passed, no bloodthirsty Zerg could attack them. If you get even the slightest bit closer, you will be crushed into powder by the energy shock wave. Seeing how powerful the troops under Wu Miao were in combat, Chu Zhong also touched his chin. Sure enough, as one of the famous 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in Qinghai, even the troops under their command are extremely powerful. Although this team of cavalry only has about 100 people, they can shuttle back and forth among millions of insect swarms and even have the momentum to stay above the insect swarms. Such a powerful force also made Chu Zhang more cautious. The cavalry combat data has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. The battle data of Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. The Bloodthirsty King Insect battle data has been uploaded and the corresponding measures are being analyzed. Chu Zhang occupied a high position and collected data from both parties unhurriedly. In battles between 2 parties, data and intelligence are often part of the manifestation of combat effectiveness. At this time, the situation on the battlefield had begun to become clear. The wild hunting Emperor Wu Miao, relying on his powerful combat power and the weapons in his hands, also fought his way to the bloodthirsty King Insect. Brush. He swung his sword, and the sword energy containing energy fell directly on the bloodthirsty King Insect. A bloody wound suddenly appeared on the bloodthirsty King Insect. But in just an instant, the wound healed again. The bloodthirsty King Insect was also angered by the sudden attack. I saw it opening its bloody mouth, and a thick mist of blood spurted out. Wherever the blood mist passed, even the rocks on the ground turned into a pool of blood in an instant. With such strong corrosiveness, if it is really shrouded in blood mist, no matter how powerful the energy shield is, it may not be able to stop it. But the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao is full of energy at the moment, pointing his sword at the King Insect. Is this all you have? If that's all you can do, you can die. Brush. A sword energy slashed out, which was different from the previous sword energy. This time the sword energy contains extremely powerful spiritual power. Psychic power is a power more powerful than ordinary energy. The bloodthirsty King Insect on the opposite side sensed a slight danger to its life and immediately waved its wings. As the strong wind blew, the surrounding vision suddenly became blurry. Wu Miao raised her arms to resist the debris blown by the strong wind. But the sword energy containing spiritual power also fell directly on the bloodthirsty King Insect. Hiss! The bloodthirsty King Insect let out a sharp scream. Subsequently, many bloodthirsty insect swarms also gathered around the King Insect. At this time, the bloodthirsty King Insect also realized deeply that the Virgil in front of him was not a good person. If you continue to confront him, you will most likely be the one who falls in the end. Thinking of this, the bloodthirsty King Insect also fled towards the distance under the cover of the insect swarm. Seeing the bloodthirsty King Insect escaping, Wu Miao also chuckled. It's just a King Insect, it's just a lost dog in front of me. But at this time, Chu Zhang, who was collecting Wu Miao battle data in the distance, felt something was wrong. Why did this bloodthirsty King Insect come to him? If the bloodthirsty King Insect continued to approach him, a fight would inevitably occur between the 2 parties. However, the bloodthirsty King Insect is still relatively far away from him now. If you leave this place now, you can completely avoid the bloodthirsty King Insect. But at this time, Chu Zhang had a different idea in his heart. Today's bloodthirsty King Insect has been severely damaged by Wu Miao. The sword energy containing spiritual power fell on it, and the spiritual power in it completely inhibited its recovery ability. The current bloodthirsty King Insect is just the end of its powerful crossbow. Moreover, the bloodthirsty guard insects that occupied the main force around it have all been killed by Wu Miao's cavalry. Even the number of bloodthirsty insect swarms is only about 1/10 compared to the beginning. Now, it happens to be the time when the bloodthirsty King Insect is at its weakest. At this time, the bloodthirsty King Insect flew towards him. Isn't this a great opportunity for him to reap the benefits? Thinking of this, Chu Zhang felt hot in his heart. Everyone prepare. The bloodthirsty King Insect is coming towards us. Now is when it is at its weakest, and it is also the best time for us to kill it. As long as you kill the bloodthirsty King Insect, you can get the last crystal fragment. At that point, the initiative lies with you. Attention everyone, the bloodthirsty King Insect is coming towards us. If we can kill the King Insect here, then this bet will be our victory. After receiving the order, many pilots immediately began to prepare. Chu Zhang also raised his arm and chose an armor specifically for the Zerg to equip. Under the command of Chu Zhang, many pilots also took the lead in ambushing. The bloodthirsty king insect didn't know yet that there was another group of hunters ambushing him on his escape route. Just when the bloodthirsty king insect passed by this hillside, suddenly, a large number of arc shurikens came from all directions like a rainstorm. The bloodthirsty Zerg gathered around the king insect have now become the most dangerous mobile bombs. Boom, boom, boom. Along with a series of explosions, the explosion damage of the arc shuriken made the already seriously injured bloodthirsty king insect even worse. The bloodthirsty king insect was finally overwhelmed and fell directly to the ground. Chu Jong also seized this opportunity, and the armor behind him sprayed out powerful airflow. Chu Jong soared into the sky, the armor on his back opened, and the artillery in the sky bombarded the bloodthirsty king insect like meteors. Almost instantly, the flames swallowed up the bloodthirsty king insect. The surrounding pilots seemed to be unceremonious and fired directly into the flames, not giving the bloodthirsty king insect a chance to breathe. The flames dissipated, and the bloodthirsty king insect fell to the ground lifeless. Upon seeing this, Chu Jong stepped forward and cut off the head of the bloodthirsty king insect. Then in the body of the bloodthirsty king insect, Chu Jong also found the last crystal fragment. Now, with all 4 crystal fragments collected, Chu Jong can obtain the coordinates of the legacy of the old human empire. But Chu Jong knew very well that this matter was not that simple. Next, the enemy he has to face is the most difficult existence. Wu Miao came to Chu Jong with many of his cavalry. When he saw the bloodthirsty king insect lying on the ground, his expression became extremely gloomy. The cavalrymen under his command looked at each other, and some couldn't believe the result. They worked hard for a long time and finally severely damaged the bloodthirsty king insect. Unexpectedly, the bloodthirsty king insect actually ran directly to Chu Jong and gave Chu Jong his head for free. According to the bet, whoever kills the bloodthirsty king insect will win. But these subordinates knew very well that the master they followed was an extremely competitive person. And this time he still lost to others in the hunting field where he was best at. The Virgils, who were born into a hunting tribe, lost to a blue star human that they had never looked down upon. At this moment, Wu Miao felt that his honor as a Virgilian had been severely stepped on the ground. I won. At this time, Chu Jong also read out the results of this hunting competition without mercy. The next second, Wu Miao became furious. Shut up, you despicable human. Obviously we severely damaged the king insect, but you were just lucky enough to steal the victory of this game. You despicable and dirty guy, I will never admit your victory. Chu Jong looked at Wu Miao very calmly and sighed secretly in his heart. Sure enough, he knew that the other party would never let him go easily. Wu Miao, who was on the opposite side, suddenly drew out the sword in his hand, with a trace of killing intent flashing in his eyes. If you want to leave here, then ask the sword in my hand if you agree. As soon as he said this, Chu Jong on the opposite side also chuckled. At this moment, Wu Miao felt as if she had become much smaller in Chu Yang's field of vision. But that miserable self-esteem is telling myself. He is the noble Wild Hunt Emperor, the pride of the Virgil clan. The guy opposite is just a blue star human. Chu Jong took a few steps back, and then said calmly, I didn't expect that as the Wild Hunt Emperor, he would actually say things like this. But that's okay, from the beginning I never thought you could let me go easily. If you want to fight, then fight. The next second, Chu Jong opened his hands, and 2 crystal towers rose from the ground. In the sky, an airdrop cabin crashed down. Chu Jong looked at the airdrop pod in front of him, then looked at Wu Miao with a contemptuous smile. Emperor Armor, activate. The Emperor Armor in the airdrop cabin was quickly equipped on Chu Jong. Seeing this scene, Wu Miao on the opposite side also sneered with some disdain. Do you think you can fight me with just these scraps of metal? This kind of scrap metal, I only need 1 blow to cut it and you in half. Facing the threat of Wu Miao, Chu Jong ignored it and tested the flexibility of the Emperor's armor. Very good. This imperial armor was specially built by Chu Jong by collecting combat data from Wu Miao. Stark Laboratory also equipped many equipment targeting Wu Miao's abilities based on Wu Miao's combat data. Coupled with the blessing of Starry Sky Forge, Chu Jong can just use this set of armor. Chu Jong, wearing imperial armor, also looked at Wu Miao opposite. How do you know some things if you don't try them? As soon as these words came out, Wu Miao on the opposite side also waved his hand. The cavalryman under him also immediately understood and took a few steps back, leaving the battlefield in the middle to Chu Zhong and Wu Miao. Wu Miao sneered, and then drew out his high-powered sword. Wu Miao, who was riding on the horse, looked down at Chu Zhong. Brush. The next second, Wu Miao directly slashed out a sword energy containing energy. The sword energy was like an arrow leaving the string and attacking Chu Zhong straight away. But Chu Zhong didn't change his expression, and with a wave of his hand, an energy shield appeared in front of him. When the powerful energy sword energy touched Chu Yang's energy shield, it was actually directly blocked by Chu Yang's energy shield. The surrounding ground had been broken down into a molecular state by the energy sword energy, but in front of Chu Yang's shield, the sword energy stopped abruptly. Seeing this scene, Wu Miao on the opposite side was also a little surprised. Whoosh! At this moment, Chu Yang's figure suddenly disappeared from where he was. What a speed! Wu Miao suddenly felt something bad. The next second, Chu Zhong appeared beside him. Brush! Chu Zhong raised his hands, and two psychic blades popped out of his arms and attacked Wu Miao directly. Wu Miao had quick eyes and quick hands, and he dismounted with lightning speed. But the biochemical horse under him was not so lucky. Two psychic blades directly killed the biochemical horse with a body comparable to an alloy on the spot. His mount was killed, and Wu Miao also had a trace of anger on his face. Why is this human's armor so powerful? It's completely unlike what human civilization can achieve. Chu Zhong looked at Wu Miao in front of him. The data panel of the visor also simulated multiple battle routes based on Wu Miao's combat data. Wu Miao's guess was correct. The imperial armor on Chu Zhong was indeed not something that human civilization and technology could achieve. The data for this set of imperial armor was constructed by the Stark laboratory awarded by the system, and the manufacturing process was provided by the Starry Sky Forge. It can be said that the technological level of this set of imperial armor has exceeded the technological level of human civilization by countless times. Wu Miao just thought that he was an ordinary blue star human. This was his biggest mistake. The next second, Chu Zhong disappeared again. The powerful power of the Emperor's armor also made Wu Miao unable to react. Brush. Chu Yang's figure appeared in front of Wu Miao, and a psychic blade went straight towards Wu Miao. Wu Miao was also agile and quickly dodged Chu Yang's attack. But then, Wu Miao found that every move she made seemed to be predicted by Chu Zhong. Chu Zhong suppressed Wu Miao all the way, barely giving Wu Miao any chance to breathe. At this moment, Wu Miao couldn't bear it and directly mobilized the spiritual energy in his body. In an instant, the Wu Miao in front of him burst out with astonishing psychic power. Violent spiritual power surged out of his body, and at this moment Wu Miao was like a god descending into the world. At this moment, his physical fitness increased several times with the blessing of spiritual power. It's time to end it. Humans. Poof. The next second, Wu Miao's eyes widened and she looked at her abdomen in disbelief. I saw Chu Zhong stabbing a special dagger into his body. At this moment, the powerful psychic power in his body was like a deflated rubber ball, dissipating at an extremely fast speed. Psychers. Chu Zhong sneered, he was not the only psychic he was targeting. In addition to seeing Wu Miao's appearance, the adjutant among Wu Miao's team also felt that something was wrong. Although Wu Miao hated being disturbed during the duel. But my intuition told me that if I didn't take action now, Wu Miao would probably fall like this. Thinking of this, the adjutant directly mobilized his psychic power. Brush. The next second, the positions of Wu Miao and the adjutant were reversed. The adjutant also appeared in front of Chu Zhong. Chu Zhong missed his attack and a powerful force restrained his movements. Chu Zhong also frowned slightly when he saw that Wu Miao in front of him had become the enemy's adjutant. Boom! A missile exploded directly between the two. Chu Zhong also broke free from the adjutant's psychic restraint with the help of the impact of the explosion. After returning to his team, Chu Zhong also frowned slightly. Just now, he lost his best chance to kill Wu Miao. Now Wu Miao has probably realized that if he wants to succeed in a sneak attack again, it may not be that easy. When Wu Miao returned to her team, she reluctantly pulled out the special dagger. The magnetic field emitted by this dagger can actually interfere with the movement of spiritual energy in one's body. However, Wu Miao was also sure just now that this dagger would only be effective if used when he had just mobilized his spiritual energy. If this dagger can really suppress psychers, Chu Zhong can use this special dagger against his lieutenant again. Once here, Wu Miao did not despise the human being in front of him at all. He had already paid a heavy price for his underestimation of the enemy. I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to recover from the injury caused by this knife in less than 10 days and a half. When he got here, the adjutant also looked at Wu Miao. Emperor, are you okay? I'm fine. Having said that, Wu Miao also looked at Chu Zhong. Human, you are indeed very strong. It was my biggest mistake to underestimate you at the beginning. But, do you have any trump cards now? True card. Chu Zhong smiled faintly. Of course. As soon as he finished speaking, the crystal tower behind him also started to operate. Immediately afterwards, a large number of fanatics also appeared behind Chu Zhong. Seeing these fanatics appear, Wu Miao's eyes widened. These fanatics are all psychers with psychic powers. Who is this blue star human in front of me, and how can he have so many psychers under his command? At this moment, Wu Miao felt as if she had offended someone she shouldn't have. Do you want to continue fighting? When Chu Zhong said this, he also had a very confident smile on his face. Now, Wu Miao was severely injured by himself, and he would definitely be unable to use his psychic powers in a short period of time. Although his troops are strong, with the fanatics on his side joining them, they are not worth it at all. What's more, he still has several trump cards that he hasn't used yet. Therefore, if this battle really breaks out, Chu Zhong is 100% sure that he can kill Wu Miao on the spot. At this moment, Wu Miao's adjutant glanced at Chu Zhong, and with a wave of his hand, the rocks around him turned into spikes and pointed directly at Chu Zhong. A mere human was able to win by relying on despicable means like sneak attacks. Do you really think you are some kind of powerful person? As soon as these words came out, Chu Zhong smiled. Chu Zhong clapped his hands, and Wu Miao's heart skipped a beat across from him. What's the situation? Does the blue star human opposite have any trump cards? The next second, several bright lights appeared in the sky. Several Titan mechas fell from the sky and landed around Chu Zhong. At this time, even Wu Miao's adjutant was stunned. Now, the opponent is not only stronger than them in terms of military strength, but also seems to be much stronger than them in terms of strength. Although he was also a psyker, he also saw the power of Chu Yang's imperial armor. At that time, if Chu Zhong can hold him back alone, then his troops would be enough to massacre all the troops on his side. Moreover, Wu Miao is now seriously injured. If a fight really breaks out, the situation will definitely be unfavorable for their side. The injured Wu Miao felt aggrieved when he saw the Titan mecha landing. How could he be forced into such a situation by a human being? I lost. Forced by circumstances, Wu Miao had to bow to Chu Zhong. But Chu Zhong didn't speak, just stretched out his hand towards Wu Miao. It's not enough to just admit defeat. Hand over your crystal shards. At the same time, I also need compensation. Now, Chu Zhong occupies the main position, and he has absolute dominance. At the same time, Chu Zhong also knew very well. If Wu Miao is killed here, the Virgil tribe behind him will never let him go. His current strength is not yet strong enough to compete with an entire race. Keep Wu Miao. No matter how angry Wu Miao is, he will not deal with him in a big way. After all, Wu Miao, the great emperor of the Wild Hunt, was defeated at the hands of a human without psychic powers. If he told it, he would probably be laughed at. You actually want compensation? The adjutant's eyes widened and he couldn't believe that such arrogant words could come out of Chu Yang's mouth. Wu Miao in the team looked gloomy, and now he only had one thought. That's why he killed the human being in front of him as soon as they met. If he could still mobilize his spiritual energy now, he wouldn't be afraid of Chu Yang's threat at all. But now, he is seriously injured, and without knowing how many cards the opponent has left, Wu Miao's first choice is definitely to avoid fighting. After thinking for a moment, Wu Miao finally chose to compromise. Return. This was said to his adjutant. Later, Wu Miao took out the crystal fragments from his body. This is the crystal fragment I got. Then, except for this star coin card, I have nothing else on me now. Wu Miao never carries too many things when going out. But at this time, Wu Miao saw an evil smile on Chu Yang's face. The moment he saw this smile, Wu Miao felt something was wrong. After a while, Wu Miao watched Chu Zhang take away all their equipment, and his face became even more gloomy and terrifying. We have done what we should do, it's time for you to keep your promise. Who knows, at this time Chu Zhang smiled faintly. Seeing this smile, Wu Miao felt a chill in her back. Now that you have no equipment, you are far inferior to us in terms of military strength and strength. Hearing this, Wu Miao suddenly felt something bad. The next second, Chu Zhang launched an attack directly. But fortunately, Wu Miao's adjutant had been prepared and immediately mobilized his spiritual energy to raise a spiritual shield. The powerful psychic shield blocked most attacks. When the adjutant saw this, he couldn't help but curse. Despicable human beings with no moral integrity. Wu Miao was also furious when he saw Chu Zhang attacking. I was actually deceived twice by the same human being on the same day. Fortunately, during the negotiation process with Chu Zhang, Wu Miao also summoned his own starship to come for support. There was a roar in the sky, and a huge starship appeared. A large number of spaceships rushed down from the starship. Wu Miao breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his own support coming. Human, I remember you. From now on, if I meet you again in the Sea of Stars, I will definitely make you pay the price you deserve. As soon as he finished speaking, a bullet grazed Wu Miao's cheek. Wu Miao was suddenly frightened and broke into a cold sweat. A spaceship fell from the sky and quickly picked up Wu Miao. After receiving Wu Miao, the spaceship rushed straight towards the starship. Now Wu Miao is like a frightened bird. He can't stay in this ghost place for a moment. After receiving Wu Miao, the starship quickly left the atmosphere, then entered the space jump mode and left the wasteland galaxy. Seeing this scene, Chu Zhang also put away the firearm in his hand. Send these energy armors and high-powered swords to Stark Labs. Wild Hunting Emperor Wu Miao. As one of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in Shanghai, he was actually defeated by Chu Zhang today. If you tell me this, no one will believe it. Chu Zhang also understood that Wu Miao today just led a group of cavalry. When we meet again, he may lead an entire fleet. I also need to expand my fleet as soon as possible. Fortunately, now I have successfully gathered the crystal fragments. As long as he can obtain the legacy of the old human empire, he can obtain 20 S-class Glory Queen class battleships. By that time, the strength of your own fleet will definitely improve qualitatively. With 20 S-class Glory Queen class battleships, even if they encounter the fleets of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, they can still fight. At this moment, a message suddenly popped up on the microcomputer in Chu Yang's hand. Urgent notice, all interstellar voyagers who are still in the insect nest are asked to leave the surface of the planet immediately. The 3 notifications in a row also made Chu Zhang frown slightly. Because this news notification is an official notification from the Galaxy Star Alliance. What happened to cause the Galactic Covenant to make such a big fuss? In the vast starry sky, a Virgil starship is also traveling in the endless galaxy. In the starship, Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao was lying in the medical cabin. At this moment, as long as Wu Miao closes her eyes, Chu Yang's face will appear in her mind. That human almost caused Wu Miao to fall into the insect nest. Wu Miao originally thought that this operation was just an ordinary hunting. Just a team of cavalry and a starship are enough to recover the crystal fragments. But he happened to encounter Chu Zhang. Now not only was his equipment seized by Chu Zhang, but even the crystal fragments were taken away by him. What a shame. As one of the 8 recognized strong men in Shanghai, he was actually manipulated by a blue star human. At this moment, the medical cabin also performed preliminary treatment on his wounds. Wu Miao walked out of the medical cabin, and now his eyes fell on the special dagger. This special dagger has been installed by Wu Miao, and Wu Miao will always remember this special dagger as his own shame. I really don't know where this human being got the manufacturing method of this special dagger. Wu Miao touched her wound, although it had healed under the treatment of the medical cabin. But when the special dagger pierced his body, it forcibly blocked the movement of psychic energy. External injuries are easy to treat, but internal injuries caused by psychic energy need to be nursed back to health. During this period, Wu Miao could not use his psychic powers at will. At this moment, the adjutant also walked in. After seeing that Wu Miao's body had almost recovered, the adjutant breathed a sigh of relief. What's wrong? What's the matter? Wu Miao was in a very bad mood now, so her tone was a little unkind. And his adjutant quickly handed over a piece of information. Reporting to the Great Emperor, we have just been notified that the Zerg troops are approaching the Wasteland Galaxy. I heard that this time there is a Dominator-level insect mother in the Zerg fleet. I feel that these Zerg are probably here for the crystal fragments in the King Zerg's body. In the Zerg system, the lowest level Zerg only have biological instincts. The King Insect level Zerg can possess the rudimentary beast intelligence and can command the lower level Zerg. Further up, there is the dominant level Insect Mother. The wisdom of the master level Insect Mother is the same as that of ordinary humans, or even smarter. It is precisely because of this that dominant level Insect Mothers usually stay in their own territory and do not go out easily. But now, the Zerg fleet is heading to the Wasteland Galaxy in a mighty manner. Are they attracted by the resources of the Wasteland Galaxy? No, the Wasteland Galaxy is located on the edge of the Milky Way, and its resources are extremely poor. Otherwise, these Zerg races have been developing for so long, and not even a Dominator-level Zerg mother has been born in the Wasteland Galaxy. So, they must have come to the Wasteland Galaxy for those crystal fragments. The crystal fragments collected by the King Insect are enough to locate the coordinates of the ruins. However, the intelligence of these king insects is no different from that of wild beasts. It would be different if the crystal fragments fell into the hands of the Dominator-level insect mother. Wu Miao also frowned slightly. What's going on? It was clear that these Zerg had no interest in the legacy of the old human empire before, so why did they suddenly start collecting crystal fragments? Weird. I wonder what kind of medicine is being sold in these Zerg gourds. However, this matter has nothing to do with Wu Miao. The crystal fragment in his hand has been taken away by Chu Zhong. Now that he has no crystal fragment, it is even more difficult to find other crystal fragments. Now he has lost the qualification to compete for the inheritance. Let Chu Zhong fight with those bugs. On Chu Yang's side, he also returned to the Spear of Adon through the group recall skill of the Spear of Adon. After returning to the Spear of Adon, Chu Zhong also went straight to the bridge. During his absence, Yun Qinghan also tried his best to help him take care of the internal situation of the Spear of Adon. After seeing Chu Zhong return, Yun Qinghan also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately you're back. Hearing this sentence, Chu Zhong was also a little strange. What happened on Hive Alpha? They actually asked the Galaxy Star Alliance to personally notify everyone to evacuate immediately. Yun Qinghan also turned on her microcomputer and sent the intelligence she collected to Chu Zhong. According to the news from the Galactic Covenant outpost, they also detected a wave of Zerg fleets heading towards the Wasteland Galaxy. The size of the Zerg fleet this time has reached thousands. Not only that, there is also a Dominator-level insect mother sitting in this fleet. When this Master-level insect mother arrives in the Wasteland Galaxy, it will be able to command all king insects. The reason why the insect nest is so peaceful now is because there is no master-level insect mother born among the king insects, and the king insects fight on their own. But if this insect mother comes to the Wasteland Galaxy, the situation will be completely different. When he said this, Chu Zhong also realized the seriousness of the problem. Once the master-level insect mother arrives, the king insect and the Zerg in the insect nest will definitely start to riot. At that point, dispelling Taco will have no effect at all. It's hard to imagine what would happen to those in the stronghold without the dispersing tower. Now the Galactic Covenant Alliance has begun to send a large number of spaceships to the surface strongholds to support them. But completely transferring the base is not something that can be solved in a short while. Moreover, they must not be too ostentatious. If a large spaceship is sent to respond, the system of the large spaceship will definitely attract the attention of the Zerg. Once they are targeted by those Zerg races, they will be in big trouble. At this moment, in the Covenant outpost in the Wasteland Galaxy, the person in charge of the outpost is also very worried. He never expected that the Wasteland Galaxy would be such a remote galaxy. Why did the Zerg suddenly focus on this barren land? Now, he has notified the Galactic Covenant headquarters. The Galaxy Star Alliance headquarters also immediately dispatched a fleet to provide support. But the biggest problem now is that the incident happened suddenly and most of the people in the stronghold have not been transferred yet. The spaceships at their outpost are also limited, and they don't have the strength to meet those people. The person in charge of the outpost was also as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Although most of the people in the insect nest today were born as mercenaries. But there are also many planet lords who throw their children into insect nests for training in order to better adapt to the cruel star sea environment. If the children of these planet lords suddenly died in the insect nest, he would not be the person in charge. Are there any other fleets nearby? If so, we can hire them for a fee. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.